Time on deck, 6:27.
6:27. Battery.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, Rob. So this is the podcast where we're going to talk. You're going to interview me.
So this
Robert.
is the very first podcast where the tables are turned on Mr. Evan Liel, the host and producer of this podcast. This podcast, I would like to take the opportunity to interview Evan about his life, specifically his military career. And this is something I've always wanted to talk to Evan about, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do so on his podcast. And hopefully I don't screw this up too bad, but I'm excited to dive deep, and hopefully you'll also be entertained by his stories, because I'm sure he has plenty of them.
For those who are not aware, this is the podcast Existence, where we're talking about love, death, philosophy, connection, how to live a meaningful life, and how to continue doing what we're doing here. I mean, this podcast is, I don't know, it's whatever I want it to be. So we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. Today, it's with Rob, as he just introduced himself as. I can already prepare, dude. You're already going to be a great host at this. I can already see it in your dude, I didn't have to say anything. We started and you went off to the races. So that's great.
I'm ready.
Cool. Yeah, no, dude, it's going to be sick. So yeah, man, I'm an open book, dude. You please ask me whatever you want to talk about. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. So I've never done a podcast like this. You talking to a veteran on how, especially I've never been on a podcast that talks about like specifically my military experience, which is I've interviewed other people on that topic, but never for myself. So cool, dude. I'm excited. Thank you. I'm more than honored to have you do it for me too. So yeah,
thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you letting me do this.
Yeah, man.
Because for the viewers and or listeners out there, my name is Robert, and I've known Evan, I would say, for a good 10, 12 years, I would say.
Yeah, dude, you're known for about
freshman year of high school.
Okay, I'm 26.
Yeah, I'm 27.
27. I've known you since I got into high school right before you met, right? The year after you met Brendan.
Yeah.
So that was, dude, I'm terrible about math.
8, 7, well,
12.
Yeah,
12
I'm hitting my 10 years this year. So 10-year anniversary. So that means it was probably about 14, 15 years ago then.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, time flies, man.
So
no, dude, that's awesome.
Time flies. So yeah, so I've known you for a while. And not only did I know him for a while, but we also went to the same school together, high school, back in California. And that was a great experience, because that is when Evan and I got to get to know each other a little bit more closely and go through a program. So this is where I could actually start this interview, is from the very, very beginning, because that's where life starts technically, right? But
yes,
high school life, really. So
yep.
Let's talk about your perspective growing up. What do you have any family in the military? Anybody that you saw as an inspiration, or just in your life that was part of the military at all?
Yeah, so I grew up influenced by my grandfather on my dad's side. He was in the Air Force. My uncle from my mom's side was in the Marine Corps. He was an 03 machine gunner. And I remember I grew up talking to my, I usually think like, both my parents were, or my dad was both my dad and my grandpa were both firemen. My dad was a paramedic for LA City. There's a lot of like first responder, like military history, you know what I mean? Like that sort of like professional setting, was definitely in the blood. So I usually, I probably don't give it enough credit, but 100%, like, that was an influencing factor for sure. And, I grew up watching military movies like anyone else. So, yeah, right. that was what it was like.
Yeah, because I guess that's a good point, because it doesn't really technically have to be military, but also like first responders, right? Because your dad also is a first responder, served his whole life serving in LAPD fire, or sorry.
No, yeah, LAFD.
LAFD. Yeah, fire department. So, yeah, growing up from that perspective, yeah, he was right in front of you every single day, right? Someone who spends their whole life giving back. And you said also your grandfather was in the Air Force. How long was he in?
Yeah, my grandfather was in the Air Force for 4 years, I believe, or 3, something like that.
Did his contract and got out.
Yeah, he did his contract. Yeah, he did his contract, got out. Same for my. And then he did administration. My grandpa in the Air Force did administration.
Which side of your family?
My papa on my dad's side.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he was in the Air Force?
He was in the Air Force, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
No,
that.
not the other one. Not the other one.
One in Arizona? Or the one
in Arizona.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, one in Arizona.
One in Arizona.
Oh, no,
he was in the
he
Air
was in the Air
Force.
Force. Yeah. Oh. And he's an admin guy?
Korean War. He was admin.
During the Korean War? Oh,
yeah.
my grandpa was too during the Korean War.
Dude, you got to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
I remember he was like, yeah, typing stuff. Like,
That's
you know
funny.
what I mean? Like,
I had no idea.
No, dude,
I can relate to that.
You should definitely talk to him for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so he did.
I'll give him a call soon, and then you can talk to him. Then.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let me know. So he was in the Air Force, and then who else did you say?
My uncle on my mom's side, my uncle Chewy.
That's right, Marine.
Yeah, Marine Corps
right.
03 machine gunner.
That's right, 02 machine gunner.
Yeah. He went through the Gulf War.
Okay, 90s.
Yeah, and I never really talked to him about it too much. I remember I asked him. I asked him before I joined. I was like, I gotta at least say something to Uncle Chewy because like. You know what I mean? He's the only other Marine.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa was like so far, like he's like, yeah, I was in the Air Force when I was a young, 20, you know what I mean? I was like.
But joining the Marine Corps is a little different.
But yeah, so joining the Marine Corps was a little different. I was like, because I kind of knew, you know what I mean? Like I knew the attitude that I had, and especially because, we'll talk about it with like ROTC when we were in high school. Like I kind of knew the attitude the Air Force was given. It was like the kind of the energy the Air Force was giving me. And then I was like, when I was 13, I decided I remember watching Jarhead, and I remember watching Generation Kill off HBO, which is a great series off HBO.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Dude, we gotta watch it while we're here. Dude,
yeah,
please,
I'm down.
Dude, please, we gotta watch it while we're here.
Okay. Because I've seen Band of Brothers specific, but I've not seen Generation Kill. And that one's it's Marine Corps based.
Yeah, there's also a new one that's coming out. I think it's Apple TV. Tom Hanks, like Steven Spielberg again, like the Pacific, like Band of Brothers. Yeah, it's called like Masters of the Air, or whatever. Oh, and it's about World War II B-2 bomber.
Oh,
crews.
Really?
Dude, so like the machine gunners back in World War II dropping bombs like out of their helicopter, like the crews there. Yeah, they're doing one on. So I'm stoked to watch that.
That's cool.
One.
I actually didn't know about that. So that's pretty awesome.
Dude.
Cool. Okay, so that's true.
We'll see how good it is. But
so you were trying to talk to him about so you knew you were going to join, but before we get into that, who did you talk to about making that decision to join the Marine Corps? That's obviously not an easy one to make, right? But no one in your direct family is military, like your mom or your dad, or obviously your brother or sister. So who did you talk to when you first had the idea of like, hey, I'm actually going to do this?
Yeah, I was talking to, I was talking to Brennan for sure. I was talking to Brennan. I remember I mentioned it to my mom and dad. They said no, which any good parent would. So I don't fault them for that at all. And I was like, I knew I told you I was 13. I remember watching like these movies and TV shows, and I was like, I'm gonna be a Marine. I remember I told my best friend at the time, Derek, his mom, that I remember telling everybody about that. I was like, I'm gonna be a Marine Corps. I'm gonna be in the Marine Corps. And I knew like 17, I can join. I'm joining. Like, and because my relationship with my family was a bit rocky at that point. It was like I was getting kicked out because I was smoking weed or whatever, and like it wasn't such a big. No, I don't fault any of my family for anything. Like I had an amazing childhood.
Good for you back then.
Both my parents are literally amazing, best parents I could ever ask for. But I mean, like that's like typical high school. That's typical high school stuff. You know what I mean? And so like, my parents were dealing with it for the first time, like I was dealing with it for the first time. You know what I mean? So like, it's all good. It's all good. And so like I remember I spent some nights at John's house and like. Just trying to be like, dude, John's my parents are, my best friend, been on the pod, all the pods. I'll link one in the description. It was my best friend, but, just kind of like doing typical high school stuff. Had a girlfriend, and at that point I was like, Brennan, I'm going to go to the Marine Corps. I'm going to join the Marine Corps. And then he was like, oh yeah, man, that's crazy. I was like, because we were in ROTC, Air Force ROTC, JROTC. Sorry, not JROTC. This
is high school, not college.
This is high school, not college. And so, yeah, at that point, that's where I met you. My brother like worked up his ranks in the high school thing. So he was at the top. I was kind of like, I didn't care about it, but I knew that if I did 2 years, I would be able to do the Marine Corps and get in as a PFC. I knew that already.
Promoted. Yeah, because you get credits for being part of JROTC. If you spend at least 2 full completed years, you get essentially a promotion coming out of boot camp for any branch, Marine Corps, Air Force, etc.
Yeah. So I knew that. I remember they told us at ROTC. Originally, I did it because I didn't want to go to gym. It seemed like gym was like the most PE lame. Like it seemed like the lamest. I didn't like it in middle school, so I wasn't gonna do it in high school. So I went to ROTC. Brendan was already in it, so that's where I met literally all my friends, like best people in the world through that. So to be honest, like I give it crap, but it got me promoted to the Marine Corps, and it changed my life. I met like some of the greatest, you, John, Ryan, like all these best friend groups, you know what I mean? Like, so it was pretty awesome that we did that. Even though it was typical, it was high school, people running. It was high school, like seniority, macho-ness that was running that. So, but we made the best of it. We made the best of it. But I didn't have like, so I was like, Air Force was not my thing.
Right, because we were in Air Force JROTC.
And I was like, I'm gonna do the Marine Corps. Obviously, I knew it. Air Force was never even my thing. That's the only reason I was in it. And then I talked to Brennan my senior year, and I was like, dude, like, I remember telling him, I was like, dude, Brennan, I'm done. Like, I'm joining the Marine Corps. Like, mom and dad said no. I know you know that I'm gonna go. So like, I'm gonna. Like, he was like, okay. I was like, dude, I just need you to drive me to the recruiter's office. I would have walked there, but like, I was like, dude, it's after high school. Like, you can drive. Can you drive me? So I ended up coming in. I was like, hey, my name's Evan. Like, I presented myself. Like, I walked straight in there. I was like, I'm presenting myself who I was, like as confident as could be back as an 18-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which wasn't terrible back then, but not like it is now. You know what I mean? And that, that was a whole, I wasn't antisocial or anything. I was like, I was able to like, for a high school kid, like, I think I handled myself all right for a high school kid, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
But I walked in there, she like shook the recruiter's hand. I was like, hey, I want to join the Marine Corps. Like, this is what I want to do. Like I want to see what the process is. Yeah. And that was my senior year of high school. So then, I remember I wasn't in ROTC. I only did the first 2 years of high school in the JROTC, and then senior year, junior year I was like free. I was like out of that, smoking weed and doing nothing. We were good kids. We didn't do anything crazy. We were just being high school kids, smoking weed in our room and just talking to each other. We were not doing anything crazy.
Vandalizing things.
No, we weren't doing anything. We weren't doing anything crazy. We didn't do anything stupid. We were not stupid kids for sure. So I was like, walked in there and then told me the process. Told my parents were like pretty hesitant, or they said no. And then I think like that was Sergeant Messerly when I walked in there and I started talking to him. Good guy.
Sergeant Mess is the best.
Yeah, he's a good recruiter, and I'm glad I got him as a recruiter because he could see kind of past like who the kids he was recruiting with.
Yeah.
And I think I always like to think that he saw something in me because he put me in his own MOS. You know what I mean? I remember talking to him, which is like super super helpful for him. But I'm super grateful for him to do that because I remember having a job like it started me going to MEPS and like coming back and all these trips. I forgot when, but at some point I got my parents on board. I at some point, I think Messerly talked to my parents or something like that. And they got on board at some point.
Wow.
And so I was going, I remember taking trips to MEPS. MEPS is horrible. It's awful. But
yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about if you want to talk about MEPS,
just
but
quickly.
Like, yeah, MEPS is like the military entrance processing station. So I was going out of MEPS.
The building is like a not a hospital, but like a medical center.
Yeah.
And,
it's like it's for where people go to enter the military. If you want to, if you are somebody, hey, I want to get in the military, where do they go? They go to MEPS. Like that's where they sift through the population of people trying to enter the military, and they do a thorough job. They do a very thorough job.
Yes, they do.
And so like it is so thorough where it's just very, what's the word?
Black and white?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not.
Or it's like you're accepted or denied.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the politics are behind MEPS. I really don't know anybody talking about MEPS, and that's kind of a problem, though.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Nobody talks about MEPS,
and that's like the epicenter of like how everything is processed for people get into the military.
Yeah,
you know?
and through like government channels, it's not easy. It's actually not that easy to get into the military. Like there is a system, and it's very thorough. And I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I don't, man, it'd be interesting to see inside MEPS because I don't know anybody who's talking about MEPS, and MEPS is a very important place.
Yeah, that's true.
It's how you get decided. And if like you can go in, you can't. And from my understanding from when I went through, I don't know what other people's experience are of MEPS, but this is just my personal opinion. And I'm sure people can have very different views of this for sure. But I went to MEPS and it was crazy. And then at some point,
walking in your underwear.
Yeah, you're walking in your walking,
showing your butthole.
Yeah, showing your butthole to doctors, talking about your past, talking about all your credit, your your past background, medical,
physical, mental,
everything. And like multiple rounds, I remember I had to go back multiple days for that. Yeah, it's supposed to be like one long day or 2 long days or something like that, but like it's anyways. So yeah, I did that, and then I remember having a conversation with Sergeant Messerly at the time. I was like, whoa, he's like, what are you thinking about doing? I was like, because when I told him, I was like, I don't know. When I walked in initially, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Yeah. But I think because like he saw something in me, I was in very good shape too. I was working out at that point. Like I knew I was getting in
P90X's.
I was doing P90X every day. And I was running. I was fit. Like for a high school kid, I can say I was very good shape. Yeah. For a high school kid. Yeah. Not like huge or anything, but like I was athletic, as a high school kid going into the Marine Corps. And so I knew that was easy, no problem. Like Sergeant Messerly, like I think he noticed that in me too. Cause like, it was like, I was passing everything. I was always at the front. Like I was always at the front doing everything, doing all the pull-ups, no problem. Yeah. No problem, nothing. And so like, and I was getting, I was mature about it, I think. And so I remember having conversations with him when I walked in initially, and he was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. He was like, okay, well, you got to take the ASVAB first, and then we'll find what jobs you have after that. And so I took the ASVAB, the Armed Forces Vocational Aptitude Battery. So that's like the test you take to see if you're going to get in, see what score you can, a score correlates to like a job number, like which correlates to what type of jobs you can get in the military, your MOS or there's other words for it, but you get like a code that says this is your job in the military, and that ASVAB places you within a certain job bracket, like whether or not you can get something. Mm-hmm. And so anyways, I took the ASVAB, and then I got decent score. Like I remember it wasn't like crazy high, but it wasn't like a perfect score or anything, but it was like I think it was on a good side. I got I don't know what it was, 73.
Did you study?
Huh?
Did you study?
No.
Okay.
I didn't study a single bit. But I don't know what it was. It wasn't like, I don't even know what a 73 is anymore, to be honest with you, but it wasn't horrible. Like it was like the higher middle of the road score. I don't know, but not crazy. And I remember I had to get a waiver for that because it was like 3 away. And it was like, at that point, it's kind of negligible. Yeah. If you're like plus or minus 5 points or whatever. So he was like, I can get a waiver for that one and he was like, he pointed to the MOS. He was like, this is 6174, or he didn't say that. It was like, it's the code at that point is aircrew trainee. So you don't have anything. You just go as aircrew trainee. Yeah. And so I chose aircrew trainee. And then he was like, okay. He had no idea that I would get in this was, I don't know. He knew he was putting me into an MOS that he had. That was aircrew trainee means you have to be a helicopter mechanic as well in the Marine Corps. Other branches don't do that in the Marine Corps because they do everything. Yeah. And it's actually really smart to have your crew chiefs know about the helicopter. Right. You do the helicopter mechanic and then aircrew. Like aircrews are all helicopter mechanics in the Marine Corps. So I got that. I got a waiver for it. Went to MEPS. My parents came in, signed the contract, and then I was off to boot camp. Yeah, I was off to boot camp. And so,
When'd you leave?
yeah, so August 9th, 2020.
August.
Sorry,
9th.
2015. Sorry.
Whoa,
Wait,
3 years ago?
No. 2015.
2015.
I got out in
August 9th,
2020.
2015.
I got out in 2020.
Yeah, me too. That's funny.
Yep.
Because
you were
6 years. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the night or the day of August 9th, 2015. You're at MEPS going onto the bus to head over to MCRD, which stands for Marine Corps Recruit Depot, where the Marine Corps hosts their boot camp.
Yeah.
Part of it, at least, on the West Coast. Do you remember what's going through your head on that bus ride there? Do you remember that? Anything at all from that?
But head on my bus right there. Yeah, I was scared. I remember I have a vivid memory of my parents were seeing me off to boot camp, and it was the middle of the night, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna meet at 11 o'clock. Like, we're like, okay. I was like, at night? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay. All my parents were like, I guess this is how it works. And it's pretty shady though, but then you're kind of like, you're off at I mean, I get why they do it.
Yeah.
I get why they do it. But so I got on the bus. I remember having a vivid memory saying, see you later, Mom and Dad. And I got on the bus and we drove to San Diego, to MCRD. San Diego, the recruiting where everyone gets trained up in the Marine Corps.
Yep. Beautiful place called
Yeah.
MCRD,
Yeah.
which you can see right by the airport.
Yeah. So I mean, I arrived at the Yellow Footprints, and I remember stopping at the Denny's on the way there. They give everyone a Denny's meal.
Yep.
They give you like a voucher, or whatever. You get a free Denny's meal.
Yep.
You go continue on, and you make it to MCRD, and it's about 3-hour drive from Corona.
From where we grew up.
Yeah. 2.5.
San Diego, MCRD? Yeah, 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, with traffic.
Yeah, 3.5 is a little long. 2.5. Which is kind of longer, but like not crazy. In California, it's not crazy in California.
Yeah, no.
But it's longer.
Yeah.
For California. Yeah.
2.5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, we made it down there. Not because it's far, it's because of the traffic.
Yeah.
That's
always
so in the middle of the
California.
night. Probably not that bad.
Yeah. But more like 2 hours.
Yeah. Why are we getting so caught up in California traffic? Dude, that's, oh my God, it's so funny. Anyways. So yeah, I get there. Get off the Yellow Footprints. I get yelled at. Just getting yelled at. You can look up. I'm sure people. I've looked at them. Like you could YouTube videos like the first day of boot camp, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Red bins. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just getting off, and it's like it's insane. You're just chaos. It's like when I think about my mind and how my mind shapes, like what I think about that experience, like I'm getting transported back there, and it's like it's chaos. It's chaos. You don't know what's happening. Everyone's yelling at you. You're getting screamed at. You're getting your head shaved. Nobody there is having a good time. No. There is not a single person there except the drill instructors, probably. Which maybe because they're worn out too. Yeah, the drill instructors are insane.
And those are like UJ hats, like the very beginning, like entry level.
Dude, those guys
those
guys are like preparing themselves for war. Like that's how they do it in the Marine Corps. Like those like drill instructors are hardcore, dude. They're not easy. They're not easy, dude. And like Marine Corps drill instructors
be easy,
and military drill instructor schools is tough. Yeah. From what I've heard, or Marine Corps military drill instructor schools, insane. Yeah. I to be honest with you, I could imagine. That's probably a really, really tough school to go through in the Marine Corps because I know people that like those people are insane. Like they have to be. You have to be very, very dedicated. To be a good drill instructor. Like to be a good drill instructor is tough, dude. Because you got to manage so many people. Yeah. They keep you in. Like they keep you locked.
Constantly.
There's
no give.
Yeah, no, there's no give. There's zero give. Yeah. You give nothing. Like, and that's like the beauty of it. You know what's crazy? And this is, I don't know what it says about the Marine Corps, but like the way it is in Full Metal Jacket, that's the way it is. Like, except there's more of those one. It's not just one guy. It's like six of them.
Yeah,
and it's like
you're throwing your shit.
It's almost more insane.
Yeah.
It's like, but it does. That's the best representation. Like that's what it's like. Like if you want to know what Marine Corps boot camp is like, it's like that, but there's more people.
Yeah, more DIs.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh my God, it's crazy. I remember I tried to, I wasn't like, I just wasn't like, I don't know. I wasn't, I remember like the first week, like I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like
the first week.
And I was falling asleep, standing up. Yeah. Like you get no food, you get no sleep. Everyone's scared. You don't talk to anybody. Yeah. You don't do anything.
Right.
But you just focus. You just get through. Like you just focus and get through.
No one's going to the bathroom either because all the toilets, like no one's used to having no stall doors, and that's a shock. Yeah. And it's literally just a wall of
people aren't shitting for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like literally, that's true. I did not defecate for a week straight.
Me too.
In boot camp.
Me too.
And
literally, I remember. Yeah, that was awful.
I remember like noticing. I was like, I remember sitting down. I was like, damn, I forgot I forgot that shit was a thing that needed to come out my body. That's how in the mess you are.
Yeah, literally.
So like you're like, oh shoot, oh I guess like yeah, you're right. I really do need to take a shit right now. Like I need to find how to do that like appropriately.
It's hard because now you're in boot camp. Yeah. You don't get any time for yourself.
And the first week is insane. It's processing week. You're just getting thrown in all. You don't even know what you're gonna get into.
Medical, taking pills. Shots.
God everywhere. Knows what shots are in us. You don't know. They're just lining them up.
Up our butts.
Yeah.
Or our butt cheeks.
Yeah, you get, again, a thorough screening again. Yeah. And then... It's
insane.
And then, yeah, people, I mean, some people, there are people that drop there. Like, there are plenty of people that don't make it through there. You see them cleaning up which is like, whatever. Dude, I totally understand. Yeah. Like, 100% understand if you do not make it through that. Like... Don't feel bad about that, dude. That's tough.
Yeah.
It is. I'm sure there's plenty of people that was like, their story was like, they didn't make it past the thing. You know what I mean? And like, they're in that whatever
team, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So I'll bring it back. So you're in boot camp.
Yeah.
Right. And boot camp for everyone, Marine Corps boot camp is 13 weeks. It's broken down into 3 phases. I think it's the red, white, and blue phase. I can't remember what they're called. Red phase, blue phase, white phase. I don't remember if that was, or that's the Army. I think that's. I don't know.
No. Oh no.
What do we call them? We
1, 2, and 3. Okay, there's a 4th phase. Now, I guess. But it was 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Oh, it's like an extended Marine week. I think they took it from another week and they extended the Marine week. I think. Yeah, I think
this is how it was in 2015. I know there's been some change. Also, it was only male. I think that's changed.
That's changed. It's co-ed now.
It's co-ed, which is great. Yeah. Awesome. That's a
it makes sense. I mean, we're doing it in the East Coast. Might as well do it on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But I mean,
no, yeah, it doesn't make any sense why it wasn't here.
Right.
They have the space. Like,
I know. But yeah, back when I also went, it was 2014, and so this is before all that changes. Yeah. But yeah. So now it's the first phase. Do you remember much from the first phase? In the first 4 or 5 weeks?
Oh man, to me, boot camp is a blur, dude. Yeah. I remember boot camp is like, well, I was like, to me, like when I think about first phase, I know how it progressed. You know nothing.
Yeah.
You know nothing, and then you learn everything that they want you to learn. You have zero choice but to learn.
Yeah.
Learn it, and it's like military history, Marine Corps standards, a drill, huge, massive drill. Like how well can you control it? Like they are impressive too. Like they do well.
Nice drills are sexy.
Like the Marine Corps drill team is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're that good, but yeah, it isn't very. It's really that's an art. That's a very much an art there. Yeah. But I hated drill. But it was like the worst thing. But for me, and that was everything, and I just got through it. But drill, like you're just learning everything that what it's like to be a Marine, and you start off and there's different phases and you get different things. Like you're not allowed to have your boots the first like month or whatever. You like walk around in like running shoes. That's what it was. You walk around in running shoes, dude.
You can't tuck your boots. Or you can't roll the bottoms of your camis.
Yeah, you roll the bottoms of your camis. Like you yeah. I mean, they make you look dumb. Like they make you look dumb. You're like you're wearing it all wrong. Like they show you, which is very interesting. Like the psychology of how they get people to become like a Marine, or it's very interesting psychologically.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They make you look dumb, and then they slowly like, this is how you wear it. Yeah. Actually, this is how you wear it. This is where it's supposed to be. 1/3 inch above this in one like they everything. The standards are so incredibly high where you nitpick every single detail of everything. I'm like that naturally, so I'm like that. This is what I say. I'm like naturally. I'm like that. I focus. I pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
But the Marine Corps supercharged it for me, where it was like now it's like on steroids, and that's why I'm like, okay, this, and I'm learning to like break that down a little bit because sometimes it can be detrimental.
Like
but
OCD style.
But yeah, I mean, like it's everything is the details, everything, and so you progressively learn like how to wear your hat, how to how to put on your boots, what they're supposed to look like, how you tuck them in, and then, you know, you get your name patch. It says your name, and then it says like U.S. Marine, but you know you're not a U.S. Marine yet because like you're like waiting for the title, whatever. Or I mean, at some point, and then at the end, that there's a 1 week long crucible at the end, and then you hike up a mountain. At least this is the way it is in West Coast. You hike up a mountain, and it's like a week long of like everything you learned. It's the culminating event. Everything you've learned in boot camp, which is a lot of things. Yeah. You're just going through everything.
The crucible, we'll get there because that's like a whole thing to talk about. But like now, so first phase is all about the details and like the small intricacies, right? Of like how you wear your uniform, like how you even present yourself. Yep. Then you go into second phase. Yeah. And second phase is where then they transport you, at least in the West Coast, they transport you into a different, you're going to Camp Pendleton. Right? Yeah. You're going to Edson Range. Yeah. Yeah. And I worked right next to Edson Range and the Reaper.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah. So I used to run the Reaper.
Nice.
You know, at the end of the day.
That's sick. Oh, you used to run the Reaper?
Yeah. Because I worked right in front of it. And I worked next to Edson Range. So in the morning, I could hear the gunshots. It was interesting in that same vicinity, less than a mile down the road, there was a schoolhouse. Like there was a school of children. But you can hear every morning the gunshots from the recruits. So it's just finding like different life out there.
Dude. Oh, yeah, for sure. Interesting. I didn't know you used to do that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So but going through it in boot camp was a much different experience.
Dude, yeah. Going through boot camp, like running the Reaper normally, it's not like a massive hill, but it's like because of how intense the rest of everything is.
3 a.m. You're like dead tired.
Do that.
Yeah.
Sure. That's sick, dude. I would have loved the chance to do that again without. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. If I would have known, like today, yes, but not back then.
Gotcha.
But,
You know what I mean? But today, it makes sense. So now you got through first phase. Now you're in second phase. Second phase is where they take you on a bus to Camp Pendleton. And do you remember the culminating part of getting into Camp Pendleton? Do you remember what the first time you stepped foot in Camp Pendleton in boot camp for second phase? Do you remember what happened?
Second phase when I stepped into I remember, because we went to Camp Pendleton, and then we came back to MCRD, two different places. But
but when you got to Camp Pendleton,
what I remember about that is like driving on the freeway, and we all had guns, and we're all like looking like longingly at these poor souls on the freeway, and being like, the buses run all the time, so people can be used, but it's the one, so it's like it's literally a very popular highway for tourists to see, and they're like seeing freaking just guys.
I know, with guns
just like staring at them.
I know.
Like, everybody has an M16 in their hand. Yeah, and they're all just looking like
with heads down.
You can't like. I was scared to look. I was scared to look out. But I mean, I caught a few peeks for sure. I was like, this is what people are. I want to be there so bad.
Because it's been like what, 5 weeks at that point. You're like, what's society look like?
Yeah. But when I got in, what did they do to us? Yeah. Well, I don't remember. What did they do?
It's like I'm sure maybe you just blurted it out. But the first day you get to Camp Pendleton, they call it Brown Saturday. Because they you probably don't remember, but they IT'd the shit out of you, out of everyone. So IT stands for incentive training. Yes. It's like one of the things in boot camp
I remember Brown Saturday.
Yeah. So Brown Saturday, is when you get there, and then they IT you to like
in the dirt, in the dirt,
in the sand,
in the sand, because everyone gets brown. Everyone gets brown. Because you're literally sweating and rolling in the dirt. You're literally just getting destroyed. In the heat. And I remember hearing rumors about Brown Saturday. Yeah. I remember hearing rumors about like, they're going to mess us up when we get back to Pendleton. Yeah. I do actually remember. It's funny you mentioned that because I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I remember they were like, everyone's like, everyone on that day on edge. And I remember specifically that they waited till like the end of the like when everyone was like, okay, I guess maybe not. I guess maybe we're not going to get messed up. Like, because everyone had rumors. And then it was like, once the sunset started, like, I don't know what time it was, but like once the sun like started getting lower in the sky, they destroyed us. Yeah. And I was like, darn, like, no, it's true. And it was like, it's miserable. True. Yeah, that was a rough day. I remember I didn't get it as bad that day though, but I remember other people were getting messed up. Yeah,
like I got messed up that day.
Did you get messed up that day?
It was like, it's like ingrained in my head. Yeah, but what they didn't get us at night. They got us as soon as we got there. And what made it so awful was that as soon as they were done destroying us, they made us make our racks, and hence we were dirty and mud and sand, and we're making our beds. And I don't know if it was your case in your platoon, but pink eye was spreading like a wildfire.
Oh, really? Was it?
Oh yeah. I remember one guy had it in both eyes. I remember when he looked at me one time, and I saw like it was like the devil looking at me. It was like both red eyes. I'm like, dude, this guy's got it bad. Yeah, both pink eyes. So yeah, it was very disgusting. Yeah, but dude, that was about a month, right? And that's where you learned how to shoot.
Yeah, that's where I learned how to shoot.
Were you did you have any experience before that?
For whatever reason, I've trained and I've learned how to shoot machine guns out of helicopters with relative accuracy. Like by the end of my enlistment, I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not awful. Like I was good.
Yeah.
But not, and it took a long time to get there. But like I wasn't. That's a whole topic. But like comparing that to like shooting a rifle at boot camp, I came out an expert. Okay, I remember I came out an expert. That I knew I had to.
Yeah.
I knew I had to come out an expert for me. I was like, I got to be an expert.
Yeah.
So I was like,
same.
And it was tough. I remember I had struggled at the range and it was not easy, but those people down there are very good teachers. The people down at the range are very good.
The marksmanship instructors.
They're very good. You have to be pretty good to get in. I remember a couple, like for the standard of that, obviously like there's insane. You can be very good marksman, which is that's not something I've thought about, but like you have to be pretty good to like be able to teach how to be you have to be good to teach how to people how to be rifle experts, who have zero knowledge of anything. I didn't know how to handle a gun. I don't know.
Same.
I had I Call of Duty. That's
Same.
it. And that's it. So like going down there, I remember I worked with them. I remember like I was like, I am not going to let myself leave this place without being an expert. Yeah. And I did. I got expert. Never got it again. But I got expert.
Really?
I was a pizza box when I left.
No
dude.
way.
But you want to know why? Because number one, because like my weapon systems that I operated were very, very different from the ones of an M16.
True.
And we didn't even have to worry about the M16 because we were on the ground. Like we would have a pistol. I never got qualified on the pistol, even though I should have. I tried to, and they were like wasn't spaces or whatever. I remember at one point I tried to get qualified, but a lot of times people don't get pistol qualified and they still get handed pistols. But we weren't in a situation where I needed to get pistol qualified, and so no, I didn't get pistol qualified. But I did. We don't carry M16s.
True, and you don't ever shoot them.
But
you still had to do it once a year.
Once a year, yeah, and I did have to do it once a year, every year, and I got progressively worse. It was like expert.
But you're a better shot on the 50 cal on the helicopter.
I mean now, like at least, I mean, I don't know. I've been out for 3 years or almost 4. So like it's like very different. But like but like back when I got out, like I was like I mean I was a triple qualified aerial gunner. I never. It was very different, but we'll talk about that. But like. So I never worried about the M16, nor was I a gun guy. Like I've learned so much about weapons now, but like had the military not been there, I would know zero things about weapons. Yeah. But like getting out, I stopped caring. I didn't care about the M16. Yeah. Though I knew everything. I knew everything about those other weapon systems, but the M16 was not something I needed to worry about.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it was like, to be honest with you, like. I know obviously like an M16 is an insane weapon. Like you mess people up on the ground. Yeah. But the bigger the weapons get, like it's crazy to do it from the sky. And I was learning how to fly in a helicopter. Like it was such a different road. And obviously like there's insane from the when you're in the military and I'm working on these bigger systems. And then I was like, where's my interest and where's all my stuff? It's there. When I was in the Marine Corps. And this is how I thought. I was like, oh yeah, like that's awesome. Like cool grunts. Like that's their weapon system. That's what they got to worry about, and that's sweet. And they obviously have the same ones. Like, but also I had to learn about everything tactically. Like how to dogfight. Like you know what I mean. Like
not just the weapons.
Aerial, close air support, all these other things. But coming out of the Marine Corps or boot camp. Yeah, I did. I graduated, became a Marine. Like that's what happened. Yep. That was my boot camp. I'm glad we talked about it because I never really thought about it like incredible amount.
About what?
Boot camp, like. Oh, okay. Because I feel like boot camp was like, boot camp, like got through that, needed to do that, and then went through training. I went through another 1.5 years of training after that. Yep. And then, or almost 1.5 years total before I got to the fleet, and then I got to the fleet, but. So going after that, after boot camp, I was took leave, went to go see my family, saw my girlfriend at the time, and then came back, went to CMT, rifle, maybe it's infantry training for people that
MCT.
are not going to be, what is it again?
Marine combat training.
Marine combat training. MCT. For people that are not going to go into a ground they're not going to be grunts, but they, or infantrymen, or like maybe a couple other people, but like,
SF.
Yeah. Whatever it is, recon guys, they go through all the stuff at the other school, which is ITB.
Infantry Training Battalion.
Yeah. And people going through ITB were like, those guys were like boots on the ground, like awesome people.
Yeah.
We were just doing other things. The people that went through MCT. And I guarantee you, obviously, ITB has like, MCT, you know what I mean? Like, it's like
they hate.
They obviously don't like, because we're not fronts. We're doing other things.
Right. Right.
Did you know that there's a whole other?
We're not kicking doors, and we're
There's a whole. How does this whole thing function, guys?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But yeah. So like that's what I want to I'm interested in talking to you about, because you're the admin side. I was like, admin, bro. Why just get my pay right, please?
Yeah, I never did. Pay me on time.
I'm trying, and you're sitting up there in an office.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyways, yeah. So I went through that. I really don't have too many memories with MCT. It was like, I remember I didn't like it at all. I knew like being on the ground, being in the dirt, that was not my thing. Even though I did, and I continued to end up there, like, you know what I mean? Like that was not my thing. I never wanted to be a grunt. Actually I did at one point, and then Master Lee talked me out of it. He's like, no, I think we got other options for you, dude. And I was like super grateful for him for that. I remember having a conversation with him about that. Anyways, so yeah, I exited there. I was in exited MCT. I remember at one point at MCT, like the first few days, they were like, all right, where's everyone going? And so like they like lined everyone up and went into a room, like 2 guys, and they were more chill in MCT. Like it's right after boot. It's the first thing after boot camp where you get to, and you're like, how is the military actually operate? Because everyone says it's not like this, but this is the only thing I know.
It was boot camp.
It was boot camp. And so like MCT, they're still hard on you, but they're still pretty damn hard on you. But like, but they're more chill. It's not boot camp anymore. Right. And there's a distinct difference. Like this isn't boot camp. I got to get through this, and it's still strict, and everyone's still a robot right there. Like everyone's the most robot you could be.
Absolutely.
Right after boot camp and coming in MCT, like you're just a boot, and that's cool. And like everyone grows out of that phase. You grow out of that phase. But yeah, so everyone's a boot to somebody. Always remember that.
Yeah,
that's true. Like the number one motto coming out of the Marine Corps.
You're
always somebody's inferior. You're always somebody's boot. But yeah,
that's the motto. Yeah,
that's the motto. So yeah, I mean, got through that. I remember didn't like it at all. But you know, shot around. It was cool to shoot at night with like the M16 and stuff. MVGs. What was your experience at MCT? Did you like it?
Same. Yeah, I liked it. I hated the hikes.
The hikes were kind of tough on that one.
Yeah. But everything else was pretty sweet. You guys shoot a lot of guns, different kind of guns.
Yeah, that was cool. The ranges were the most fun. I remember the ranges were the most fun. Yeah.
Yep, the ranges were a great time. I just remember being so cold out there too, as well. Like, I remember it was so cold I couldn't even use the trigger. I figured would go. I was like, oh, I can't shoot my weapon.
Yeah. And we had phones then too. We had our phones. We had to lock them up. Yeah, but we had our phones. Yeah. And we could text people. Because in boot camp, we had, maybe it's different now, but you make a one phone call in the end, and then you send out letters to see if they're going to come to your graduation at that point.
Exactly.
And if you need to call somebody for the graduation, I think, but you don't talk to, at that point you get 0 communication. Yeah. Really out there. Crazy. And then, so I got out of MCT. And then from there I remember I was like, at that point I got out of MCT and I was like, where do I go? Like, it wasn't like I didn't know where I was going. I knew but before that, the Marine Corps, like, they knew everyone was like out of boot camp is like, they don't know, they're in a daze. And so they need the assistance in helping people.
Yeah.
Go to leave and then come back. Mm-hmm. Like, and so like after MCT, I remember it was like, all right, you're on your own. Like, you got to make it there. And I was like, all right, they said I can take leave and I did the, what I did was RA. Yeah. I went back with Master, did RA. And I was always terrible at it, and I knew I would be, but I know I wanted to do it because it got me like 15 free days of leave. I had to go to the RA.
Yeah.
But I'd spent time with my girlfriend.
Yep.
And I remember taking her out to like a $350 dinner that day. Damn. Or when I got back, I was like, I'm rich. I have $3,000 in my account. Like, yeah. I don't care. Like,
right. I'm rich.
I'm literally rich. I bought the nicest meal I could possibly find.
Nice.
And we went there right on, it's right at Montage in, on the coast in Orange County in Laguna. Yeah. Montage in Laguna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there was a restaurant in there in the resort.
That's where you went.
It was like a fancy French, dude, the fanciest restaurant I could find. And I was like, I remember being like nervous walking inside because there was like a waiter just standing there. And it was the dinner itself, uneventful, like so bougie, so insanely bougie where I was like, they gave me like nothing to eat. And I remember coming out of there and Chloe and I were like, oh, maybe we should get like Chick-fil-A or something. Like we want some real food.
Yeah. Damn.
It was great though. I mean, I'm sure it tasted. I would appreciate it now.
Yeah.
But like back then, I was like, I'm rich. So then, so I did that. Did RA. Don't remember too much. I remember just hanging out with my girlfriend, and being with some other guys there.
Yeah.
And whoever other people there.
Other pulleys.
Yeah, other pulleys. And I went in with Jared Suttle actually. I missed that point. Him and I. Jared Suttle was a guy who was at my high school. We didn't plan this at all. We weren't close. Like we weren't like, I knew him. We were friendly. Like we were definitely like, hey Jared, like what's up? And then that's it. Like, we'd see each other. And then we went through boot camp together in the same platoon, same everything. Went through it, and then we went back on leave together. Damn. Like we went on the RA together.
Damn.
So like.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
FCT platoon 2 or no?
No, because he was ITB. He was ITB, and then he did RA after, and then I remember seeing him after RA, and I was like, because I know he went to he went to ITB, and he came back, and he was like, I remember he was like pretty confident. I remember being like, oh damn, like Jared Suttle, like he's like the guy and he's a handsome guy. Like Jared Suttle's a handsome guy. I remember like, oh man, well Jared, you're handsome, dude.
Yeah, he's
like,
a handsome guy.
He was a super handsome guy, and then he was like, standing straight in his. Everyone was like, hey, I wasn't like that. I wasn't like bad at all. I was still a Marine. I just became a Marine. Like I was like, confidence was as high as it could be.
Yeah.
But I remember he after ITB was like came back and he was like more serious. Like he was like, I'm doing this because like I'm trying to get ahead. And I remember he had like he was like working.
I
remember.
He was about it.
He was about it. I think. I mean, I maybe he has a different story about it. I haven't talked to him. It'd actually be super cool to like get to know him. More. But dude. I mean, he did that. So and then after RA, I went to I remember I was like, okay, I got to fly somewhere. I got to be in Pensacola in 15. I remember like talking to the recruiters would have helped me out, whatever. But like, I remember being in what do you call it? Being in California, and buying a ticket off Cheapo Air. I don't know if it's still a good airline place to find, but like that's what it was. And bought a ticket to Pensacola, Florida, on the day I had to leave. And I remember it was kind of pricey, but I didn't have a choice. So like,
you had to leave. You bought a ticket.
Yeah, I didn't know that I didn't. It was like maybe the couple days before. I don't remember, but it wasn't like I didn't like. It wasn't like quick. It was, it was quick. It wasn't like a long time. I left my girlfriend. And it was like the most saddest thing I've ever felt in my life. Like, that's that is a whole emotional journey. I mean. The person I was with, Chloe, she's amazing, literally the best person ever, way too good for me. And, like dealing with that was huge for me, like just trying to deal with my own relationship. And that's a whole episode on its own, like, like my relationship history and stuff. But like, anyways, at the time, going through the Marine Corps was such a it's everything. It's your entire life now. So like everything comes second to that. And like, didn't want it. I've loved this person so much, but I was like, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be. Right. I need to be here. Right. And I had to.
And you had to.
I mean, and you had to. Like there was no choice. Like you know what I mean? Like there is no choice. Some people go. Some. Yeah. I mean some.
Not choice absence.
Yeah. And that's bad. Like you don't.
Awful.
Yeah. You don't do that. And so I was like, I have to, obviously. So this is the way it is. And so, I remember crying on the way back to Pensacola, Florida. Mm-hmm. And, we didn't know when we would see each other again. And that was really tough for both of us. But in Pensacola was the start of my aircrew training. Yeah. So I I was still an aircrew trainee at that point. So So I remember I got together and we met with a group. I remember landing in the Pensacola airport, checking into Pensacola, Florida, where all the that's where all the aviators go. Like those where all the aviators go in the Marine Corps. Everyone ends up in Pensacola, like pilots and aircrew, and other people working in other jobs in the Navy because it's a Navy base. And so the Marine Corps is linked to the naval aviators. It's all Marine Corps Navy. So amazing pilots, amazing talent and knowledge there. There's like so much there, and really, really great instructors. Like I remember being in the swim call because like Pensacola is like, all right, this is like you guys are people that you're not. This is not official that you're gonna be an air crewman. Like you have to be able to pass these tests. Like you know what I mean. Like and a lot of people dropped. Yeah. I remember a lot of people dropped. Because I don't think I ever finished the story, but like these two guys when I was in MCT, they were talking to me. They made a joke that I didn't have a MOS because they couldn't find my paper or whatever. Like, oh, I guess you're gonna be a cook, and I was like, no, I signed aircrew. I was like, signed aircrew. Damn. They might have done that as a joke, but like, and then I don't think it was though, because eventually the drill instructor, I remember I talked to the drill instructor. Maybe if I hadn't done this, it would have gone a different way. Or not the drill instructor, the guy who ran MCT, the head guy. And then I was like, hey, they said that they can't find my paperwork. This is the contract I signed. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to be an aircrew trainee. That's what it was. Like I forgot what the code is. 18. I don't remember. Yeah. But like, and then he was like, okay, like let me find out. And then I remember come back like that night. He got to me back pretty quick. I remember that. I was like, oh, and I'm surprised. Like he actually found out. Like, and he was like, good for him. He's like, Nate, your MOS stuff's fixed. I was like, okay, sick. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
wow, lucky.
He helped me. Like I thank you, whoever you are. I don't remember who you are. I remember you're like blonde and big. Like,
that's funny.
But he was like a big guy. And he was like, yeah, you remember what? He's like, dude, super casual. Like he had other stuff to do, but it was like a real thing. He was like, hey, you got your MOS stuff's figured out. I was like, thank you. And then that was it. Wow. And then so like really helped me out there. So I ended up, that's how I hopefully got straightened out there. My paperwork didn't get mixed up with anything. And then Pensacola, Florida, we got there. Everyone's a boot and pilots or and otherwise except the instructors. And so like that's where you learn to do water survival. Like that's whether you're going to be a Navy rescue diver or a rescue swimmer or a Marine Corps aircrew. Those were the two groups there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Navy rescue, like their aircrew and our aircrew, Marine Corps and Navy aircrew.
Is that the same training group you mean?
Yeah. Same training group. Yeah, you're in the same training group, just with them. And their PT is so easy. Like after boot camp, after boot camp, you're like, this is all the Marines are like, this is what the Navy does for their. This is what the Navy does for their for their PT. Easy. I forgot what they called it, but it was stretching basically. Yeah. You ran. You definitely did stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like way less standard. Yeah. And I'm not saying those were bad things to do. I'm glad they did it. But the Navy's height and regulations are very different, and the Air Forces and the Armies are very different from the Marine Corps standard. They're tough on the Marine Corps people, and there's fat Marines. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there are overweight Marines. I shouldn't say fat. That's not right of me. Wrong. But like
overweight.
That was wrong of me to say. But like
PCP Marines.
Yeah, there were PCP Marines like that did need to lose weight sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of controversy. Some people were just really big people. Yeah. Like some people were just like jacked people though too. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to, maybe I'm just projecting on the experiences I felt then. Like, but like the Marine Corps you need to have standards to be an effective military. And the standards need to be met. You need people underweight. Like that's not being too harsh. Like that is what you want. Actually, you want people who are physically fit, can physically perform. And like, that's important. Like that's what you want to, I mean, the standards are the standards because that's the military you want. You don't want the one that's out of shape.
Right.
Anyways, not that the Navy did like it was just much easier. Anyways, so I did a water survival training. lot of swimming. At the end of it, like we were just going through. I remember I struggled in some of the helo dunker, which was my hardest thing. It's where they strap you to a big crane, which has like a simulated helicopter cabin in it. And you're strapped inside of it. They blindfold you, no oxygen, and they dunk you in and they spin you around, and you have to climb out of there egress with blackout goggles. Like, it's tough. It's not easy. Like, and I've drowned. Like, I've literally drowned in those trainings, and I got pulled out by the divers in there. Twice. Like but I wasn't. I knew I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm a confident swimmer, but not like some confident. I remember like the Navy rescue swimmer. There's great swimmers there. Like really, really great swimmers there. And like I wasn't like I thought I was more confident than I was, and then I started going through that stuff, and I was like, I'm not failing. Like again, never. There was like failing was never an option. I had to do a remedial for the rescue swimmer. They get me like they work up to these things. Like they put you in chairs that are like underwater, and then they just start from the bare minimum. It's like, hold your breath, okay, and then go in the water and hold your breath underwater.
Really? So it's like step by step.
Dude, cool. Step by step. They don't just throw you in there. No, they train you to be in there. Like they. It was started off like slowly, and I remember being, checking when I was with the other guys there, and girls, everyone was there, just people there generally, whoever you are, whoever you identify, like they were there, so we hung around. We remember the classes didn't start, so we were like free floating for a while, and then. Kind of hanging out. I know a lot of people went off base, and like you could do that, but you had to wear your like the pickle suit. Like you had to, really? You had to. And I was like, or you had to wear like Bravos or whatever it was. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, screw that. I'm not wearing my Bravos out there. That's lame. And I know, like, you do look good in your Bravos, but like it's like. But like I was like, no, I'm fine. Like I was already like, this is not the military. I'm not trying to be a military guy, and I've always known that. I'm like, I want to do this for the experience. I'm not trying to be a military guy. I'm not trying to think this is like
your end all be all.
Like the end all be all. Like I was like, I'm here for the experience. Like, it's always been that for me. It's never been like I'm gonna be a military guy, and that is magnified later once I get out, but. Right now it's just like, I'm not trying to be a military guy. I don't want to go off base with my Bravo. And so like, I remember there was like a week or a week or so, like it took a while to get into a class, maybe like a month or something. I remember there was like a waiting period, and there was other like Lance Corporals bossing around PFCs, you know what I mean? Like, which is like, they kept them in line, and like, there were some people there that weren't so cool, but I was always like pretty cool with everybody. I never got in trouble. Like that's how I feel like I was in high school the same way. Like I got along with everybody, like the people that were in charge and the people that were not, and like people that were getting bullied or whatever. Like it was all Lance Corporals. Like there was maybe like a really salty corporal there. There was like maybe a really salty corporal. Like, I got stuck here. I've been stuck here for 3 years. I remember there's like people that got stuck there. Like they didn't leave for like a year or two or whatever it was. I was there for 3 months.
And 3 years.
Like people were there for like maybe a couple of years. Like if they obviously like, we were like, damn, that's crazy. Like you've been here 2 years. He's like, yeah, I got stuck here. Ended up like switching my job, like because they couldn't get past Pensacola because they kept breaking themselves, and they're like, I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna make it through. And it's like, ooh, those people like they got broken or like their mental health or something, like whatever it was. And I'm not saying that's bad at all. Like they just got stuck there. Like some people got stuck there.
Damn.
And but I mean, we're seeing around like we see like the graduating classes and stuff. You don't get winged or anything. You just find out at the end of that. You find out what platform you're getting. So whether the Marine Corps was 53s, Ospreys, or Hueys, and Hueys and Cobras. And so those are like the 53 CH-53s are like big, massive tanks of helicopters, and they can lift like MRAPs and like other helicopters. They literally lifted one of our helicopters once. So like they're huge. And then you have Ospreys, which are the tilt rotors. They look kind of funky. They don't look cool, but they actually are kind of interesting, but they're
dangerous.
kind of potentially. I'm sure there's a lot to discuss there. I'm also not an engineer or qualified. I can only speak on anecdotal evidence of what I've experienced in many ospreys. And then Hueys and Cobras and then C-130s. And then everyone was like, you walk in there and they're like, you're not going to get Hueys and Cobras. Really? And that's like first thing that the other classes above you that are telling you. They're like, you walk in there and you're like, you're not going to get Hueys and Cobras. I was like, everybody wants Hueys and Cobras. Oh, gotcha. I mean, not everybody, but it's the top one. Like you want to be in Hueys and Cobras. And I remember going through, because like the Navy guys, they did their own thing. After that, they went on to like more swim school. They went on to a harder swim school. I think so. I think that's how it worked. Like they went through Pensacola, like and then the rescue, to be a rescue swimmer, you need to go through rescue swimmers. Like I think they needed to go through another rescue swimmer school.
Damn. I
don't know how it works. So I would love to talk to a rescue swimmer.
Yeah.
I would really like to talk to the rescue swimmer. That's going to be my next thing to find is like people that were rescue swimmers.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
But anyway, so we walked in there, they're like, not going to get Hueys and Cobras because there's only, and I was like, okay, well, I still want them. So I'm going to try to get them. So I was like, that's the one I want. So I'm going to see what I could do. Yeah. And so, I remember I didn't do, I got rolled to the class next to me because I had to do behind me because I had to do remedial helo dunker training, drowned more. But the instructors there really, really are great. They taught me a lot. They taught me like, hey, like you need to relax. You need to calm down. Like, and that's invaluable. Like that was when I point to like, when I think about where my ability to like focus, like to force myself to relax, like it's like, hey, I know you're dealing with everything out here, but when I think about like how I've gained the ability to like focus now, because you need to be calm, like that's what needs to happen. Is that school that I remember, because like it was tough, dude. Like I remember I was drowning underwater and I remember like, pulling myself, like I couldn't get out. I couldn't egress the way I was supposed to egress the helicopter. I would get stuck in there, get pulled out or whatever. And I remember I did it as many times as I could in the first round, went through remedial, and then it took me, I didn't get it all on one go on the next round, but I passed. Like I did well. I did well enough to pass for sure. Like not close, but I passed. But I had to do a couple because you only get like a certain amount.
Gotcha.
And if you don't, I might have been able to do another remedial, but I don't know. Yeah. I think it might have been like, this was the last one and you're not going to make it. Wow. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it might've been that. I could be playing up the situation, but it was like, I remember I was like, I need to pass this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so, I was like, you learn, like, you got to accept, like, you got to accept the process like that. And that's such a huge lesson. Like, I was like, you accept it, then you go in the water, and then like you're still there, and you're like calm, and like and I was able to do it, and like there were times where I was like, damn, I remember leaving that school, and I was like, I'm confident. Like I remember leaving the remedial, or leaving the last test or whatever. I was like, I'm confident, I can do this. I can do this again. It was almost became fun because I could do it. Yeah. And it's tough for people, dude. The mile swim's tough for people. You got to jump off like big swim thing towers. Yeah. And luckily, because I was only able to get in two, because I was I scored high on the swim qual for the Marine Corps boot camp, and so you have to also qualify to get like the highest level there, or like a medium level there at least, to get onto the next school. Yeah. In boot camp, to get onto like if that's
intermediate swim qual.
Intermediate swim qual, whatever it is, and it's just intermediate. You can't get any higher than that boot camp, right? You just go intermediate. Yeah. And so I was intermediate swim qual, and then so that, and so, I was able to do all this stuff. And then we remember we did, training, like CPR training, aircrew. We didn't learn about helicopter. Everyone thought we were going to like know about all these like cool things, right? Just swim qual running. And then, just, a lot of swim qual. There was like, basic, there was basic. I remember hypoxia training there. It wasn't all. You're right. It wasn't all swim qual, but it was the majority of things. Maybe 80%, 70%. I don't know. It was a lot of swimming. Maybe it was just because my perspective was the hardest thing. The other stuff was like swimming. I can get through that. Yeah. But the other stuff was like, it wasn't like pass or fail really. Anyways, you just learn about hearing, you learn about night environment stuff, you learn about hypoxia, which is like if you don't get enough air. Wasn't something they're like, if you get on like Hueys or like stuff that stay below like 10,000 feet, you're not gonna have to worry about it. So like all the Osprey guys got trained up on they needed to like pass hypoxia stuff and stay with the C-130 guys.
Gotcha.
And then so like I did all that training there. I remember doing parachute training. We didn't parachute. It was like I was always like the most disappointed with parachute training during that time, because I was like, are we gonna parachute? And you don't parachute. You just like learn how to like put it on and like you run with it. And like I didn't parachute. Although I really would have liked to. That would have been, jump school was always an interest of mine, but I knew I didn't have an avenue there. I knew like I'm not jumping out of helicopters. Like that's
right.
I'm not parachuting out of these helicopters. Like nobody's trying to parachute. You don't carry parachutes. Like this is not a thing.
Jump school. Yeah.
But like the other people do. Cool people in the military do cool jobs, and that I never did. But yeah. So so I got out of that. I made it past it. And I was with like awesome group of guys. Still in touch today. Like all of those guys are still the best people ever. And I remember I had a guy at boot camp I took home too, or out of MCT I took home. Like I remember, what was his name? I can't remember his name. I'm sure I really would like to meet up with him. I will have to remember his name. Really cool guy. And then I remember I took my friend Carr. He was part of this group. We all graduated together in the boot camp. In Pensacola.
Okay.
And then we took off together as a team. But right before that, actually, the biggest story I always tell is like, how did we got our stuff chosen? Like, how did we end up on 53s, stuff like that. So like, made it through the school, and then at the end, there's the monitor, monitor. He's like, everyone knows the monitor is like, that's the guy who decides your fate. So you want to be good with a monitor. And so like every time I would talk, I think I might have only talked to him like once before that. And then he was like, I just tried to give him the best impression I could. You know what I mean? I was like, monitor. And then because I had gotten rolled back into the class behind me, I was with an extra person there. And they added to the class. And so I got rolled back, and then the monitor was giving out orders. I remember everyone was like, you can put a wish sheet or whatever.
Yeah, wish list.
Some people, why not give the person that they want on their thing? You know what I mean? Right. Some people don't want Hueys and Cobras. Some people want 53s or C-130s. People wanted other things.
Yeah.
But it was like the most sought after Hueys and Cobras. Everyone knew it. And so when the monitor was reading out stuff, like in the back of my head, I was like, Hueys and Cobras, Hueys and Cobras, Hueys and Cobras. And then it comes down to me and another guy. And that other guy, awesome guy too, really cool guy. I forgot his name. It's like so many names here. I don't keep in contact with those guys enough, but I really hope they're doing well. He was like, the monitor was like, looked at us. He's like, well, it's between 53s and Hueys. You guys got to wrap your scissors for it. And so I was like, because we were both like, he was upset because I rolled in that and I wasn't like fresh to the class.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, I'm taking all the chances I can get, buddy. I'm not going to give that up. Yeah, like we're going to rock, paper, scissors for it. And I think it was like one rock. I was like, how many? He's like, one and done. I was like, damn. Okay. I was like, rock, paper, scissors, one. He's like, all right, you got Hueys. I was like, wow. And then I remember afterwards, we were like, other people went another one. He was disappointed because he wanted Hueys, dude.
Yeah.
But even those 53s are the 53s are awesome. Yeah. I always had respect for the 53 guys. Always 53s and Hueys always got along. I was cool with the 53 guys on deployments and stuff like that. They were all cool. I always loved the 53 guys. I even have a patch for 53 patch. I had a whole like wall of patches and stuff. It's gonna be cool to put up one day. I really want to put a whole wall of patches up and my helmet and stuff like that.
Yeah, sick.
Add it to the podcast background.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so 53s. So me and a group of guys, Carr Isley, Bareilles, Stan, Valderrama, all these guys that were like the best guys ever. I got put into that class, and like we were all scared together, but we were good people. Like we were good people when we stuck together. You know what I mean?
It's important.
It was important. Like there was some like we were ragging on each other. We were stuck together. You know what I mean? Like we were trauma bonding at that point together. And so we're still keeping in touch with those guys.
That's cool.
Those guys are great. You know, hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out. Everyone there, I love you. I'm just trying to get through this.
Yeah.
But like, so did that. And went to the next school, which was, CNAT. So Center for Naval Aviation Technical Training. And so we flew to California together. Sorry. Next school was SEER.
SEER school.
SEER school, dude. How did I forget? That's what happens with SEER school. You just like repress that, literally.
Yeah.
No, I went to SEER. That's what it was. I remember this is when I was at MCT, there was rumors that certain MOSs went to SEER and they were terrifying. They were like, in SEER school, you're going to get beaten. It's bad. Like in SEER school, it's rough. Like they tell you like SEER school is not, it's not like a cool place. It's like serious at SEER school. That's what they tell you. And I remember being like, out of Pensacola, they tell you, hey, next stop is SEER school after this. And it's like, everybody knows they're going to SEER. They're trying to just make it through their aircrew training. And then we get sent to, and then everyone's like, hey, next stop, like once we got our MOS and stuff like that, next, they give us our dates out. And we had to wait there for our SEER date. So we had to wait to get to SEER school.
Wait, where? Like wait at home?
We were in Pensacola. No,
Pensacola.
we were just waiting to leave. And then we were, at that point we could, we weren't allowed to wear our flight suits yet.
Okay.
We probably could have gone away with it. The Navy did it, but the Marine Corps was like, you don't earn those yet. Like, like that's how it was.
Marine
Like,
Corps,
the Navy did it. I straight out of Pensacola, but like, no, not in the Marine Corps. You couldn't. They were like, you don't earn it. You haven't earned your flight suit yet. You haven't even left the ground, buddy. So then we went to SEER school. And I have to pee real quick, but I'll come back and we'll start SEER school because SEER school is a story.
Cool. Yeah. Cut.
Cool. So
so you just got word back that you're going to SEER school.
Back in that, dude. Back in SEER school. Yes. So I got out of that. Went to SEER school with my cohort of Marine Corps buddies. We all just hopped along to SEER school, and everyone has ideas of like what SEER school is going to be. I think it's best. I really do. Like I think there's like a lot of people that go through SEER school, and there's different levels of SEER school. I didn't go through like I didn't go through like special forces like SEER school, but I went through the one that you go through when you're an air crewman. Purpose of SEER stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. It's where you go to learn what it's like to navigate a situation in case you're behind enemy lines and you need to evade capture, and what it's like to resist interrogation. So that was the premise of the school. Got a buddy who works there now, which I didn't go through it with him, but yeah, no, super cool.
He works at SEER school?
Yeah, he works at SEER school. He's one of the instructors there.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, awesome guy. Just had a kid too.
Nice.
He set himself up too. Love that guy. Shout out Alex.
Nice.
Just saw him last year.
Oh, cool.
You see him more. I'm trying to plan a trip.
Where does he live?
He lives in California. He's at SEER school in California. Okay. There's two. There's actually one in Maine.
Oh, no shit.
I believe it's Maine. I could be wrong, but there's California in there, and then
West Coast.
West Coast, but it's like in the woods. Gotcha. It's not like it's like remote woods. So I think it's best for like people who want to understand SEER school, like go through it. Like there's some basic things like that. That's kind of the philosophy I think about it as too. Like people have said it like that before. What I've seen online, like I've even searched like stuff on SEER school online, and there's not like that much stuff about SEER school.
Yeah.
It's kept pretty under wraps. The people talk about their experience. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
But it's best like if you're interested in SEER school, like it's kind of best to like just go through it. You have to experience it. Yeah, you have to experience it. Like you're getting hit. Like it's scary. Like it's not like what I'll say is like the first week is like survival, and that was like this is what it's like to survive in the woods. It's like, these are the roots you can eat underground, and like, this is how you build fires. This is how you like skin a rabbit. Like, this is how you, like hunt for yourself, and like, this is how you, and then you're getting classroom training the same day of like how to resist interrogation, how to resist interrogation techniques, stuff like that. You get told how to like pick handcuffs, but the handcuffs they had there were like super old. Like, they were just very basic type of handcuffs, but like super basic type, which is easy. You can like pick with like a lock, like, you know what I mean? Like, or like a little bobby pin, which like they showed us, but they showed us how to do like, in the dark and like tied to a post or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's different techniques you could use to like try to get out of stuff, and like, depending on what enemy you're fighting. And it was like an ambiguous enemy. Like, they were always like building up this enemy, and throughout SEER school, they're talking about like this ambiguous enemy that's out there. Like, it's kind of like a weird thing where it's like you're like with the instructors, and they're like cool. Like, it's like, you know them, like it was Navy ran and submarine. Yeah, it was Navy ran, submarines. Oh, interesting. There are Marines there, but I think it's a Navy ran
organization. Or class.
Class, and then we were there with like pilots, and we were there with I remember there's a recon driver. He was like, well, I was like, what do you do? He's like, I'm recon. I was like, oh, sick. What do you do? He's like, I'm part of I drive, or he's like, what he said was, I drive. I was like, or he told me he was a sniper. He was like an interesting guy. I remember meeting that guy. I was like, this guy's really interesting.
Really? Yeah.
And I don't know what he did with his life. I don't know who he was. I really wish I could talk to this guy again. But he was like, I'm a sniper, and I also drive for like recon. Like, he does like, I do like off-road like recon stuff. Like, I ride like vehicles. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Damn. That's like, I was like, that's very interesting. And so like the whole soft world, like the special forces, like team guy stuff, like that's a whole world. And like, I know recon is like, I'm sure there's a ton of people, and there's like so much to that world that I don't know. But I remember meeting that guy, and that guy was cool. He was chill. He had like a cut. He was like a low cut. He was a corporal, but he was like pretty chill. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because at that point, it's still Lance. And so, I remember he was cool. He was like a really cool guy, and he was doing some cool stuff in the military. And I was like, he's like, yeah, they sent me here, like here to do this, and he did well. Like, he seemed like a guy that was like, you know what I think when I think about that guy, I think he seemed like a guy that was like, he was like very smart, you could tell, but he was like also the most like relaxed guy about it. Like, you know what I mean? Really? Like, he was like he's a guy that I think like would be on like he would end up on like the Raiders or something, like MARSOC or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's like the type of guy that I feel like would be like, wow, this guy, like, he's really smart. You could tell, but he's like super chill. Like, he's like the chillest guy.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who like, I know there's like really interesting requirements for MARSOC and like special forces people, but I feel like he had the stuff for that. Whatever that was, whatever that world is, like, he seemed like he had that stuff. Like, he was really awesome. That's cool. Yeah. Super cool. And so there was like, pilots, aircrew, and he was like, oh, that's cool. Like, you're doing aircrew stuff. Like, he didn't, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like we were totally cool. I remember I was like kind of intimidated because I was like, oh, this guy's like super cool. And he's a corporal. And then, low, like dirty low haircut. I was like, this guy's cool. And then I was intimidated because I was like, oh, I'm aircrew. Like, I think it's cool. I was like stoked about aircrew. Everybody in aircrew loves aircrew. Everybody is like hyped they're in aircrew. And we think we're better than everyone else because we're about to be flying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it went for us. And we, so we graduated, SEER school. So we went through SEER school. And so like I was talking about, with the, kind of like the survival, like ambiguous enemy sort of thing. And you get locked up, you get thrown around, you get hit around, and you get like, you go through it, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I always like hesitant to talk like super widely on it, because I really think that it's important to kind of keep some things hush hush. But if you go through it, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I haven't even began to thought about like the morality and like the philosophy behind the military SEER school stuff. But you know what I mean? For right now, I think the best thing to say is like not that much about it. something you go through. Like there's information like this out on, you can get information about it. You can, if you really want to dig, I think, maybe even easier now. I was looking up stuff in 2015. So, you know, now it's like, who knows what's out there. When I was like trying to research stuff but I've seen stuff, even stuff like a few years ago, I remember last year or two, like there wasn't that much, that was easy to find. Who knows what it's like now though, AI. But yeah, so I went through that, and then, exited SEER school and got out. We were all traumatized. Like we left SEER school. I remember the ride into SEER school. I remember the ride back to SEER school. I have a picture of me. I'll put it up on the screen if I can find it. I'm just like, I made it through SEER school. I haven't shat in a week. Like I'm just covered in like dirt and dust. You don't sleep. You don't do, you haven't eaten in 3 days. Literally. You don't like, you go through that. And then, and you end up in some very scary situations. Like you think you're like, some people like think it turns into thinking it's real. Like that it can break people 100%, dude. SEER schools, like I think I talk about it lightly because it was like, for me, it's so personal. I'm like, oh yeah, like, but when you actually go through it, for somebody that's never gone through SEER school, especially somebody that hasn't even been in the military, SEER school is scary. It's scary. And like they make it scary. You know what I mean? Like it's funny now because one of my best friends is a SEER instructor now, but they make it scary, dude. Like it's like, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like you are being shown an experience, and like they make it clear like it's worse than this. So like you need to, you know what I mean? Like they tell you that, like, and it messes, you got to think about that. And I didn't make all the right mistakes, but I was shown, or I didn't make all the right moves in SEER school. Like, cause there's like different things about it where you're like supposed to make certain decisions for yourself. And like, you know what I mean? And so like, you don't really know. But yeah, I mean, I remember getting into that and then exiting SEER school. They're like, there's the whole ending thing, and then you get out, and we were like driving back, and then everyone's like, chill again. Like, you know what I mean? Really, we're like, thank God you come out of the woods of that, and you're like, literally, you're walking out of the woods, and we're walking up to like one of the people that dropped us off, like one of the Navy girls that dropped us off, and she was like, how was it, guys? And then we were like, yep. Like you know, like you just don't know what to say after that. People are just processing things. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's scary. It's scary to me. And you know, it's like another reason why like I don't give myself enough credit for like the way I am, because like that experience shaped me 100%, like any other experience. But that was a deeply psychological type of torture that like I don't even like, you know what I mean?
It's insane.
I never broke. Like I didn't break. I knew like I kept my stuff together the entire time. I didn't make all the right things, but like you get shown the right path, and you know what I mean? Like, and they do it very well there. Every school I went through, they did it well. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think that's what everyone says about like the military has some serious training. You know what I mean? Like you can get training, and like, you can get serious training. You know what I mean? And so like, I you know, there's other types of SEER schools and stuff, but like, so we got out of that, went immediately to the Navy exchange, and literally got all 3 restaurants at once. We got Five Guys, Taco Bell, and what was it? The last one, Rubio's. Because they had all of that in the Navy place, because the Marine Corps, because it's Navy. And I remember like we went straight there. I got one full meal from every single place and ate it all because I was so hungry, dude.
Dude.
We were just the happiest guys in the world because we just came out of that mess. And then we go back to our place, to our barracks room, which was actually pretty nice, you know. Finally can have a beer again. Actually, no, we couldn't get a beer, but we found beer. Because you find beer. We definitely found beer. 100% found beer. Every step of the way we found beer, which is horrible, but yes. And we just celebrated, dude. We just celebrated that, and that was cool. I remember like just having a bunch of time there. Like we would I remember just the night of crazy ping pong drunk battle. Like we were doing, we had to like move and like, after SEER school, like, now that's going into like, my next school after that. But like after SEER school, like, yeah, we were celebrating and we found some, but we had to make it to the next school immediately after SEER, which was, God, there's so much to go into, dude. So the next school, which was, my CNAT, which is Center for Naval Aviation Technical Training. It's so hard to like remember all these things, like, you know what I mean? Like you don't, there's so many acronyms, so many acronyms. And so, Center for Naval Aviation Technical Training. So that's, not flight school yet, not even flight school. So you're getting into, that's, where everyone goes to learn to become a mechanic.
Okay.
And so, what is a helicopter? How do helicopters work? Yeah. This is what our helicopter, we have Hueys and Cobras. They're 90% the same, but there's a few key differences here. And like, you know what I mean? Like you learn about all of that. You take tests, you go through exams, like, you ride, it's like mechanical, like very mechanical.
Hands-on.
And I was not good at it, but I good enough. Like I was fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was never the guy that like got the mechanics, you know what I mean? I'm not like, but I was like, I have to get through this. I'm not stupid. If I apply myself, I will get through this. Yeah. So I did it and it was fine. I had no issues.
Cool.
I didn't have any issues there. And it's not like in depth yet. Like you just learn the basics. And there's a lot, but I mean, work on aircraft, like there's a lot of stuff to learn. That's true. And there's a lot of regulations and a lot of stuff like that. So, so I got schooled up in all of the military aviation standards and safety practices. Again, like I gotta apologize for like, I feel like I forget how much there is in these details because like this is just my experience. People haven't gone through what, you know what I mean?
It's okay.
So I mean, I did that, hung out with my group of friends, got drunk, hang out. Remember there was this one guy, Sergeant Baldessar, like he didn't like our class. We were cocky. He knew that. And he knew that we were also not dumb. Like we were a smart group of people there. Yeah. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like, but he didn't like the attitude we brought. Like, I you know what I mean? Like,
to the school.
Yeah, we were kind of cocky. Especially we had our buddy Nelson, my boy Nelly. Dude, awesome guy. I think he's in Special Forces now. Oh, yeah. I need to give him a call because he's awesome guy. Douchebag, but an awesome guy. Yeah. But yeah, no, and he's awesome, but he brought a lot of like attitude and he was best friends with our other boy, Isley. And you know, they got along super well. Yeah. Everyone was cool. We stuck like, you know, misfits. Everyone's a misfit. In the military, everyone's a misfit. Like you just ragtag together like these group of people. Everyone's coming from different backgrounds. Everyone's ragging on each other, but you know, we all had love for each other. Yeah. Like you don't know what it's like until that's like a very specific thing being in the military, like what it's like to go through all of that together. It's like, those are lifelong, you'll go to their funerals. Like, you know what I mean? Like those are the people you show up for, you know what I mean? And you know, it's hard to explain when you haven't gone through that. You may not be able to get to it as much as you want, but like, you know, they're there for you and you know that you're there for them, you know what I mean? And so, and you know, I'm super grateful that everyone here is still alive. Like we're still, we're still here. We're still moving forward. Like we still keep in contact. There's not enough contact, but you know what I mean? Like still keeping in contact.
Yep. It's important.
It's very important. Don't lose that ever. And so we got through that. So a lot of oral exams, written exams, and then like hands-on like training, like performance stuff like that. Gotcha. Learning about aircraft rotors, transmissions, engines. It was separated. So we were mechanics because we were going into be aircrew. So we had to get trained as a 6114, which is a flight line mechanic. So those are like the normal stuff that you think about when making like engines, drivetrain, rotors, like stuff like that. Like the main, like there's avionics that deal with like the electrical, technological elements to there's a whole world there that I know nothing about. And then there's, you know, airframes. They deal with all their structural repair, stuff like that.
Frames.
Yeah. And then those are like the main ones in CNAT. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then there's also the parachute guys, the guys who do with flight. But they go down a different path. I don't know. Actually, they don't go there. Those guys go onto a different path.
Okay.
But they come back to us at some point
at the school.
Yeah, when we get to our fleet squadron. So
okay.
So we did that. We learned about that stuff. We passed. We were good. Like our class was smart, but we were cocky. And then we got to and then we all knew what was coming next, which was flight school. Yeah. And so like flight school was like exciting for us because flight school was like we knew we got to fly, dude. Like that was what everyone was waiting. At this point, we've been in the Marine Corps for about a year and a half, like almost over a year. Yeah. It was over a year. And we had never made it to our fleet. Everyone's like talking about this mysterious fleet. Like there's jokes that the fleet doesn't exist because all of these things, like you're going through training after training after training. So yeah, I mean, it was after MCT, it was training, then fleet, like a lot of training. And so I went to become qualified to learn how to fly. Yeah, damn. And so I got sent to HMLA 303, which is the helicopter training squadron. So pilots and aircrew get trained up there by pilots from other fleet squadrons. And those are all great pilots. Great pilots out there. And some really, really awesome guys. Awesome, some of the best pilots I ever flew. They're the heads of those squadrons now. Like those are great pilots that are leading those group of guys. Again, like it speaks like the excellency in like naval aviation. There really is there's a standard for excellency. And if you don't meet it, it's tough. And I struggled a lot too, but like, I don't know. I don't imagine what the pilot struggled with. You know what I mean? Like those are a whole separate thing. Awesome people though. So new pilots, new aircrew, get to know each other. Yeah. I was actually in SEER school with one of the pilots that was going through their training to be pilots. Oh, that's cool. Pluhar, wherever you are. I always felt bad because he always did the land navigation for me, and I was like, "Yeah, you got that right, dude." Like I was like, "I'm terrible at land nav." Yeah, same. And he knew that, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll take this role." Didn't even question it.
That's funny.
I never talked to him about it because I always felt embarrassed. Yeah. But Pluhar knows who I was. I hope you're doing well. And so, anyways, I ended up there. So we learned to fly, and so that was where you put on your flight suit and they teach you what it's like to be in a helicopter. Yeah. So the ones that we're in. So I was in a Huey, which is it's like the old. If you ever seen like Vietnam movies, it's like if you ever seen like Full Metal Jacket, they're shooting guns out of a Huey, old Vietnam era helicopter. Back then there were two blades. It's the modern day versions of those, and the Cobras, which are the attack helicopters, which are like skinny versions of those that shoot rockets and 20 Mike like big rounds, and drop bombs, and so, so we got there, and so that's what we learned. We ended up having instructors there. There was other classes there ahead of us. They were getting trained up, and the way it works is you get X's. So you get qualifications to be, qualified in a certain realm of within a certain realm of like air training. It's like, okay, this is daytime. This is what this X is. This is you're gonna fly during the night. And this is this X. You're gonna fly. You're gonna fly under these low light level conditions. It has to be about below this certain level of light, and then you get to fly. Interesting. And then you get an X for that flight, and then there's different qualifications, and then this is what it's like to there's this close air support one, which was like this is what it's like to be in a helicopter that's shooting guns out of the sky or shooting guns out of the helicopter, and learn about that, and then you learn about. That was actually my first flight ever, which was the sickest first flight to have. That was pretty sick. The first flight I've ever did. It was like close air support was just shooting straight and I got normally you're not allowed to shoot. Yeah. But because it's the very first flight you go on, it's just to be like, this is what it's like to be in a helicopter. nobody knows what it's like to be in a helicopter. You know what I mean?
Damn,
I mean, most people
cool.
don't. And so like, not like nobody, but like, I mean, like nobody at that point in our group, nobody knows how to, you know, it's like, imagine just like, oh, it's sick. Like not a lot of people get to fly in helicopters.
Right.
And so,
that's for sure.
Everyone's been on a plane, but not everyone's been on a helicopter.
Yeah.
So we got that very first flight. I had Sergeant Lumbar, awesome guy, super smart, but he looked like a hillbilly, like he was like super smart, but he had like super Coke thick glasses. Yeah. And he has like buckeye, like super nice guy. Yeah. Really cared about us. Yeah. Really cared about us. Like he really mentored our group. I think he kind of saw, he was part of he didn't run our group, but he was like, saw our group that needed some, like we needed some wrangling in, and he always took care of us.
That's cool.
Yeah. We knew we can go to him. Like he was a cool guy.
That's cool.
Super smart, incredibly smart. Really gave us a lot of life lessons too. Yeah. Like he gave us a lot of life lessons in there.
Good dude.
Yeah, good dude, solid dude. Most 99.9% of people I met in the Marine Corps were solid dudes. Yeah. Then you meet a couple, but you meet a couple ones where you're like, dude, you need to get yourself in check. Like you know what I mean?
That's for sure. How'd you make it here?
Well, there's a lot of routes, but yeah. Anyway, so did that, and so like flew in different lighting conditions, flew in different within different like learning about the way aircraft maneuver in space, and how like the principles of operation for like learning and all the procedures, like and you're still studying, you're still doing tests, like you're still doing oral exams for like emergency procedures, you're studying weapon systems, because you don't get tested on them there. You have classes and stuff, but you don't get tested on them until you get to the fleet. You get one test there, and then the next you train up on the web systems in the fleet. But the training was like so like different patterns, different how to fly, low to the earth, like guiding trying to like it's interesting because I'm like I did all of these. I know there's so much here, and I'm trying to like grab at them, but like. How to navigate. So in the back of a Huey, you are the eyes and ears of the bird that the pilot can't see. The pilots can see like this. They can see like
narrow vision.
This amount. And then the rest of the bird needs to be guided by something. And it's the rest of the bird needs to be guided by something. I know I put my microphone down, but like you get, for those listening, it's like you just get a narrow view of the bird, and then you have the rest of the bird unprotected and who knows what's going on there. So like those birds aren't like crazy advanced, like insane birds. So like we are navigating pilots, like how close the rotors are to certain obstacles, calling them down to inches, like how we're going to land. So it's like, hey, your tail's clear, skids are clear, like main's clear. You're good to like land. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're all on the same page here. Everyone's got to give their checks. Everyone's got to be like, make sure they're listening to the you're listening to the pilots listen to you. You know what I mean? And the most skilled, like the aircrew always had this feeling like we're here to serve the pilots. Like we are here to serve, but the pilots relied on us just as much as we relied on the pilots. You know what I mean? And so like that's what the biggest thing is, I think, for me to kind of understanding, and for the more experienced guys got it. Like the super experienced guys that were pilots and super experienced crew chiefs, they're like, you know what I mean? Like that's number one. If you don't understand, like you're just as important to the crew and it took me a long time to come to that confidence. So that's why I was like, you're just as important to the crew as the pilot is. There is no separation there. Like they're guiding the birds. They will take your input. Like the pilot in command, the one who's assigned for the bird, like that's his bird. He has overruling authority, but everyone's share of the pilots do get a lot of say, but the crew chief gets the same amount. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like understanding that the people who caught on to that the quickest were the best, because they performed at a level that was like always hard for me to like get to, and that's why I like never. I was like never. It was hard for me to feel comfortable trying to become an instructor and stuff. But like, but yeah, no, it was. I started coming into that later, like at the end of my enlistment, like the last year, started doing improving a ton there. But like the knowledge and stuff was not difficult for me. I mean, I've always been able to pass tests pretty well. I've always been a good test taker, I think. but you know, I was able to manage all that. It was never the knowledge, dude, but it was like getting stuck on the performance side of things because they expect you to perform.
Yeah.
And I, you know, some people really struggled a lot more than me. Like there's people that, you know, I know like best friends, but like they just couldn't handle the pressure of being a crew chief because it's a lot of pressure. Like it's a lot of pressure. Even, you know, they'll make it, they become crew chiefs. And so at the end of that school, you get winged. Like that's when you finally have you pin your wings to your chest. Yeah. You know, and then you smash them in. Without any backings. Like, it's like you, like,
oh yeah,
and everyone wants to see their scars because you're like, oh hell yeah, we're winged now. You know what I mean? It's like there's ceremonies like that for all different types of like military, and it's like, look, that's controversial, but it means a lot to me that I got winged. Like I don't like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what it was like for other people, you know. And I don't know what you did you have any?
We're at pink corporal.
Yeah, corporal. Yeah, there you go. But like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I remember getting corporal too. And yeah, so that's what it was, getting winged though too. Same thing. Yeah. It was like get punched in the chest.
Yeah, dude, feels good.
and then you go home and you get drunk with your boys, and then you keep punching those wings in the chest. Like that's how it worked. Like we were drunk and we were just like not punching ourselves, but like we were punching each other. Like we were getting rowdy because we just got winged. Like we are moving on to the fleet. Like we are going to where we're gonna be now. This is where we go to. Like this is where if war breaks out, we're going to war now. Like, you know what I mean? We are with the people who are working and going on deployments and doing things. And so nobody wanted to get, you could have gotten the reserve squadron. Nobody wanted to go to the reserve squadron. The reserve squadron, and this is kind of funny because I know you were in the reserves, but like, so it'd be interesting to like see how you saw it. But like the reserve squadrons for us were like, there are plenty of like active duty people in the reserve squadrons. I know that. Yeah. But like for us, it was always like, nobody wants to get sent to the reserve squadron, but because you want to deploy, you want to go out and do stuff. Like the reserve squadron is like, if shit hits the fan, they really need you guys, they'll activate you. But like for us, we were like, we want to go. Everyone's deploying. Like right now, it's not anything crazy, but like who knows? You know what I mean? And yeah, so we got winged. We got out of that. We went to our fleet squadron, and I got the number one choice. Everyone wanted to go there again. Number one choice all times. I'm just constantly getting. I got really lucky. Like I won a lot of the things I wanted to do in the Marine Corps, and that's why I cannot regret my job, not even the slightest, because I knew that's the job. Once I found out like what it was about, like back in Pensacola, I was like, this is the job for me. I'm gonna fly in helicopters. It's gonna be sick. Like you know what I mean? Oh yeah, 100%. And it was cool. I was like. And everyone wanted HMLA 369 for whatever reason. This is just my own bias that everyone wanted it, but people wanted it. Everyone thought 469 was just gonna rip you apart. Like they were gonna be like, this new guy is going to destroy you. Yeah. And they did, but or you're gonna get destroyed by the new guy or whatever it is. You're gonna get destroyed being the new guy, I should say. Yeah. And so, but that's for every squadron. Yeah. Every single squadron. Everyone they destroy the new person. Always. And so, I checked into HMLA 369. Everyone was jealous that I got those orders, and I got to I want to say I got to work, but I got to scrubbing the toilet. I got to just cleaning. Like that's what I got to work on, is cleaning. Like I just cleaned the ever living shit out of those places, and they were still dirty, and they were still gross, and they're still awful. Yeah. But they were like, you know what I mean? Like, I wish that those conditions there are like not like the other branches. Yeah. But we worked on them and we did them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we did them. And but it's still a hangar. It's still very clean. It's clean when you want it to be clean, but it's always a mess at the same time. And it's like, that's like, I feel like the dichotomy is like, anybody who's worked in aviation thinks it's like, wow, it's so clean, but it's such a mess. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? I believe it. I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing to describe because it's like that, man, it's so funny because I don't really talk to people about like aviation stuff much, and it's not much at all. You know what I mean? Aviation's a very interesting thing. But like working in aviation, it was like, everything's a mess and everything's trying to be clean. And when it needs to be clean because somebody's going to look at it, somebody important is going to look at it. Like you're going to make it clean and you're going to pretend all your birds are up and then you're going to like, you know what I mean? Oh, all these aircraft work. Yeah, sure. All these work. You should take a look at what's going on these flights. But, so then that's when I started cleaning a lot, and got introduced to everyone I was going to be with for the next like 4 years of my life. So like, met greatest friends of my life there. Yeah. Great leaders, amazing leaders. Bowman. I don't know who he's in now. He's a gunny. I think he's not a gunny. He's literally a first lieutenant. Like he's I remember meeting him when he was a sergeant. I think he was a newly pinned sergeant. One of the best people I've ever met in my life. Yeah. Like literally, I wish I was closer to him. I'm sure I guarantee I can give him a call right now and he'd be like, "What's up, dude? Like, how's it going?" Yeah. But I was never as close to him as I wanted to be. My buddy Dom got really, really close to him, but one of the best people I've ever served with, I met, within the first month that I got into the fleet. Oh. And yeah, just a leader, like just a natural born leader. Like, you know what I mean? Somebody that's like, I get it. I get I get the thing, like what we're in, like, and I'm going to help us here. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, you trusted that guy, and he was an amazing mechanic, an amazing crew chief. And literally, he deployed to combat too. But that was the thing, like everybody had their combat wings. And then if you're a fresh wing, like, or like a slick wing guy, you don't have combat aircrew wings. And so like, there was always that hung over us. That's what it was, is like, we knew we were going on like different UDPs, so unit deployment program is called. So like we knew we were going to Asia. Like that was whatever the rotation of Pendleton was. It's like Asia, you're going to Okinawa. Like you're going to Okinawa, and you'll do stuff within the area. Like you'll travel, but you're going to Okinawa. You're going to station there for 6 months, and then you're going to come back, and then we're going to do a rotation. Then your time's going to come up, and then you do that, and then that's what it was. And so I started learning. I mean, I just started training, and you start, because you're a slick wing guy. You have any quals in the fleet, which means you can't even touch a bird until you get a certain qual. Like you can't do anything until you get certified on certain things. You can't go past a certain amount. Yeah. That's why you clean so much when you're like brand new, because you have no tests to do anything. So like it's like you can't do anything. Yeah. And so like, the rules would get bent, but like just for educational, like for real world purposes, like, hey, you should go see this because this is like kind of rare, or like whatever it is. But like, or like not rare, but like this is what you need to know. Like on a day to day, this is how this operates. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. And so you get qualled, and then you just slowly become more and more, every day you're showing up day in and day out, and you're doing that job every single day. And there's no option. You're showing up, and you know exactly what's happening. And for me, it was like always changing, because my life was according to the flight schedule. Like, I didn't have a 9 to 5. It was like every day was, you're flying at night, you're flying during the day. We'll give you enough sleep to like get you by. Like there's standards for how much you can sleep. Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah. Hours
on, hours off.
Yeah. Hours on, hours off. Yeah. So like, it just depended what was going on with the flight schedule, whether or not I can get a certain X. You had people in charge that were like scheduling people for all their qualifications and stuff, and that was a really important job. Yeah, it's called the EDM, Aircrew Training Manager, or Enlisted Aircrew Training Manager. And that guy scheduled your life, and usually like if you were cool with the EDM, he would like hook you up with like, all right, for this 3 months you're doing this, like you can get adjusted to that schedule, and then you're doing days, and then you're getting qualled, and like this is, if you have a good EDM, they'll schedule it like that. Yeah. No, I had some good EDMs there, so they were helping me. I met everybody. I was getting called up, and that was flight stuff, but we had to do the mechanic stuff, and there are people that are just mechanics, they don't fly, so there's an option for them to fly. And I think it changes now. Like it might be much more similar now, which makes sense, because there's some great mechanics that would be great crew chiefs too. And I know, but it was kind of more, it was called AO, and it's like it meant that aerial observer. So it's not that they're trained as a crew chief. At that point, there was certain qualifications that you could never be an instructor as an AO. You had to be a crew chief. The AOs and the crew chiefs were always cool because the AOs were like more senior mechanically than like the crew chiefs were always like more junior mechanically, but they were more senior in the air. So like there was kind of like you would have a sergeant that would be talking to a lance corporal who's like a triple gunner, and he's like, "Hey man, like how do I fly?" Like, you know what I mean? Like what do I have to learn here? Because I know nothing. They didn't go through any of the training. They didn't go through SEER school. They didn't go through Pensacola. They didn't go through flight school. They did nothing. They just came to which I think it's very important to go through these things. You know what I mean? Like very important to do all of that. And they still do it. They still do it in a different way. They just don't do it straight out of boot camp. They just do an alternate path. Gotcha. They go through like their swim call and stuff like that. And it's the same stuff, but like they do it a little differently. And I'm not sure exactly because I never went the AO route to fly.
Interesting.
And that's how it was back in 2015, 2016. That was like 2016. So I'm sure a lot of stuff has changed. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And so yeah. So then I worked mechanically every day, like fueling birds. That's what you do as a nug. Well, it's called a nug. It's like new guy in training or nugget, new guy in training.
Yeah.
And you're just cleaning birds, learning how to bring them in, learning how to bring them out, like basic stuff, how to oil, like how to fuel, what are the fuel procedures, like all the procedures for aircraft spills, stuff like that. And then you're studying every day when you go back on weapon systems and flight mechanics and like tactical air situations, maneuvers, like profiles, landings, like everything, like different types of like weapon systems that are able to like shoot down certain aircraft, like you know, like all of these things that are like combat air related, and like search and rescue stuff like that. Like there's a lot to the birds that we are capable of, firefighting operations, stuff like that too. And so like there was just like Bambi bucket stuff, like dropping helicopter, like there was just so much to study, and that was like there's never a shortage of things to learn when you're in aviation, and so like there's always more. And that's the problem is if you get complacent and you think you're like, no, you don't. Actually, there's aviation is very, very difficult. To be a good pilot, to be a good aircrew, it's very hard. Yeah. And it runs very efficiently, like the way the Navy runs it. Like there's a reason why Blue Angels exist, because they're like so good at what they do. Like because the naval aviation is insane. It can get crazy. Like it's very, very good. Yeah, damn, that's insane. And so, you know, I wasn't part of like the fixed wing stuff. I was rotary wing guy, so that's the experience I got. But yeah, so, learned, studied, dude. Yeah. I studied and I was tough. Like it was tough for me. Like I remember I got promoted to corporal quickly because I came in, PFC. So I got promoted to corporal, like all these other mechanics that were like kind of jealous that this new guy just showed, like everyone's always jealous that the new guy showed up to the fleet, but he's aircrew. So he's been in for a year and a half. And then the mechanics had been in for like, I think like 6 months before they got to the fleet. But like these aircrew guys are like a year and a half into their military, like they were senior to them, like from the start of their getting into the military, and they've gone through this training and now they've entered the fleet.
Right. So you're higher ranked then.
So you usually get promoted very quicker, and it's a much smaller group. And so we got promoted quick. I got promoted. Everyone knows the aircrew guys get promoted quickly. And once you become a corporal, it's an NCO. And so like you have like truly like that's when you begin like, this is what it's like to be a leader now. Yeah. You have to like learn to like help other people here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to learn how to do that. And that's like never been something I've like, it's always been hard for me to like come into that fully. Yeah. And I want to, and I'm like at that point, and it's like, you know, it's always been a struggle for me back then and still is now, but like, and I was never like the natural born leader guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I wanted everyone, I didn't want to hurt anybody. Like I always wanted to just be cool. Like that was the way I viewed it. I was like, I'm going to do my thing and put my head down, do my work, but I'm going to be cool with everybody. I'm not trying to be anybody. I'm not trying to like, you know what I mean? Like, not that I wasn't leading people. I had to, like, you're forced into that situation, but it was like, it was just in a different way. You know what I mean? It was like leading people through like, hey man, like it was like leading people through like, this doesn't, you don't have to get sucked into like how hard it is for like other people here. Like, you know, you like coming up, like I get it. It's difficult. Like I understand it. I'm trying to like level with you that like, you know, we're all in this together. Like just because you're a sergeant or you're a corporal doesn't mean you have everything figured out. And like just because you're a lance corporal, like doesn't mean you have everything figured out either. Like everyone's just like, you know what I mean? Like
doing their own thing.
Like, and because of that, you know, like I think I got along a lot. Everybody gets ragged on. Everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy, dude. Like there is a high rigorous hierarchy in the Marine Corps. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There is a hard lines that do get drawn, but you know, and I made some like but there's room. Like there's so much room for leadership. There's so much room for like being able to like. That's what's cool about it. You learn to be a leader in very different ways, but you learn to be a leader. Like you learn to like, you know, bring what skills you have out in the way that, you know, you might not have come to otherwise. Right. I mean, you know what I mean? Like just being able to do that, and you're forced into those situations. The people that, you know, struggle with that, like they can really struggle with that. I knew a lot of people that really struggled with it, and they didn't, you know, it was hard for them to come up, and it was hard for me to get past corporal. Like I really improved a lot throughout my training. Like there were people that were just good at it. Like there were people that were like, they like my friend Dom, like he was just good at it, you know, and everyone knew it. He was a good mechanic and a great crew chief, like both sides of the spectrum, like equal, both like loved it, good at it, you know what I mean? And he progressed very quickly, and you know, through the ranks, and he became an instructor and everything. He never wanted to do the last bit of instructing called WTI Weapons and Tactics instructor course, because he was like, I mean, he could talk about it himself. I got him on the podcast too. I'll link to that. But like he was like, he didn't want to spend more time away from his girlfriend. Like he just didn't want to go back to that training again. And it was like, he could totally have done it 100%. He just didn't
want to do it.
No, dude. And I totally understand, because by that time I was like, I don't know, year 4 in the fleet, and we were like, we were done. Like we it's hard, dude. Like it's hard, man. Like the military is like, it's like you gloss over like this, but like in the military, it's day in, day out, every single day. This is where you are. This is what you're doing. And it, you know, and I think that's what the thing is about like, the people, and there is no, animosity towards like, the reserves, like you did. Nothing at all. But it was like for us, when we were there, when we were in active duty, it was like, this is like what they don't have to deal with. Like, what the heck? Like, you know what I mean? Right. And it's like every day, day in, day out, there is no option. You don't go back home. You could stay here. And even I felt like, because I was in Southern California and I was able to go see my girlfriend like on the weekends and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Some guys couldn't do that.
They don't do that. They pick you up wherever you are. They drop you off, and you have another life. Like this is your life now. This is what you do day in, day out, every day, every single day. And you're getting ready for deployments. You're getting ready for like your training every day. So you get good at it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the crew chiefs that got sent, everyone knew like the crew chiefs that got sent to the reserve squadrons, they didn't shoot as much because they weren't training on guns every day.
Right.
You know, they would come back for like, even though you would be a senior crew chief, but you got sent to a reserve squadron first, you come back and then the junior guys are out numbering you with like what their gun quals are and stuff. So it's like, you know, it's like the reserve squadrons weren't doing it every day. And it's not that they were bad. Like there was some really awesome people at the reserve squadron. It was just when we were on active duty, we saw what the reserves were. They just weren't as active. Like, and that's the point of it. Like, that's literally the point of it.
Right.
And so like, and there was no any ill will towards them. It was just like, I think that's just the differing experience that you had. I only pointed out because there is a difference, is that I was doing it every single day. You got to go back and work and focus on your life and what you were doing, which is equally as important as whatever I was doing. It was just a different path. And so yeah, I mean, every single day worked and flew, studied, and trained. And we always thought we were going to go to war. I mean, that was like, the thing looming over our heads was like, and this is where it gets like, you know, we were getting sent to Okinawa. I think it's still that way. Like people are just getting sent to Okinawa. I don't know what they're doing now, but I've been paying attention. But we were just getting sent back and forth between Pendleton and Okinawa. I went twice. I got to the first time I went to Okinawa. I got sent to corporal there. I think I got sent to corporal. I was like picked up right before we were supposed to leave, or no, I got pinned over there. I think
you did.
No, that's right. I did get pinned over there.
Cool.
I think both times. I think, but got pinned in Okinawa, just like we went on a. I wasn't on the. I wasn't on I went on a ship for about a month, but I wasn't on the what do you call it? The ship when they go out. I can't remember. UDP, yeah. No, the UDP is the unit deployment program. There's a thing where you like get on the ship and then you take most of your deployments on the ship. I wasn't mostly deployed on the ship. I was on the ship for about a month, and we went to the Philippines, went to Manila, got off like explored around Manila like crazy, cool. And then went to Thailand, and then explored around Thailand in the middle of the jungle, like sailed across the East China Sea, and then made it there. Flying in the middle of the ocean, the dead ocean in the middle of the night is very scary. Yeah, you have nothing to land on but a little small boat, like tiny little black dot in the distance, and you're trusting your pilots with dear life that they're going to, and they take those. I mean, all flights are taken very seriously, but like that's a very tough. Those are tough conditions to fly in. Yeah. So people who are good at that, those pilots, like all the pilots, they need to be good at it. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, it's crazy.
And being a crew chief equally is a point of doing that, like calling yourself into the boat and stuff. Yeah. And there's rescue swimmers here with Navy. Like we see like the rescue swimmer guys in the chow hall. We always like we're cool with those guys.
Yeah. That's cool.
On the boat. There's so many jobs on the boat, you know what I mean? And like, it's like, I think there's like, I don't know if you view it in the military, but there's like, I feel like there's hierarchies of like coolness, like in the military.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like there's like, oh, like this guy's a friggin' like the grunts think they're the coolest people and the best people ever. And then the people and then you have like the special forces guy that think that they're God. And then you have like, everybody rags on the aviation guys because they're like, oh, they have no idea what aviation is like. Anybody who rags on aviation has zero idea. Literally, they're just speaking out of ignorance because aviation is hard. It's very difficult. Like every job is difficult, but aviation is very, very difficult. And so, there's a lot of jobs in there. So we as aircrew, we were the ones flying. Like they you know what I mean? Like they worked. Mad respect to everybody on the boat because they got the stuff working. You know what I mean? Like they ran everything, and I remember being very, very grateful that I wasn't like on the boat as like the chain monkeys, like hooking up stuff to like the make sure it doesn't like the helicopters don't like fly off. Like we had to do all of that, but like that wasn't my job. You know what I mean? Like we try to help out everyone. Everyone was like made sure that we all helped out and did our part and made sure like this is like, hey, they're working for you. Like you guys are the ones flying and coming back. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so, we were like we were respected throughout the aircrew were pretty respected. Yeah. With the Navy guys too. Everyone was pretty cool. Yeah. And so, at least among our group, cause it's like Navy and Marine Corps, are like 2 and 2 in the same hand, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's very different. It's a very completely different branch, but it's a part of that Navy tradition. And so like, it's cool hanging out with those guys. Met some cool guys there. Yeah. I don't really think, it's like, there's so many stories there. I'm sure I just haven't remembered, you know what I mean? And so like getting bad haircuts, getting like, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So like, it was really cool. It was sick. And that was like our first time understanding like, what it's like to be out in the world and doing stuff like, exploring the world, dude. Like that's why I joined. I was stoked to go. I was like, every place you want to send me, I will go. I'm gladly go. Send me to anywhere, and I want to go there. Yeah. I unfortunately I didn't get to go as many places as I wanted to, but I got to experience some really, really cool stuff. Got to fly around Thailand. Got to see Philippines. I literally got flying through the jungles of Thailand, searching for elephants, dude. Like, like landing in the middle of like it's like it would be in Vietnam or something. Like you're landing in tree fields and like. I carried the, actually that day, I woke up and I was covered in bug bites, like completely face covered in bug bites. The whole, like, when I was in Thailand and I had to fly the commanding general, like the top, what's his name? The top dog in the Marine Corps.
The Commandant?
How am I blanking out on this? Yeah. The Commandant of the Marine Corps.
Oh shit.
I flew the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and I remember I was like, I don't know why I got chosen, but they chose me. They were like, usually it's a really senior guy and like more of a junior guy, because at that point I was like, it was my first year in the fleet, and so I got picked, and I went and flew with the Commandant. So that was cool.
That was damn. Talk to him.
Yeah, didn't talk at all. No. You ever met the Commandant?
Which one?
Oh, dude,
Nickel or no?
Yeah, this is like stuff like I'm kind of sad. I don't know, but like I don't.
No,
Burger.
He's
Burger.
a newer one, I think.
Oh, maybe still.
Shit, I don't know when I was in.
Anyways, yeah, I got to fly the Commandant. That's cool.
Was Sergeant Major too, or just?
Yeah, the Sergeant Major.
Oh, so yeah, Sergeant Major. I forgot. Green, I think, or something. Was he like big dude?
Yeah, Green. Sergeant Major Green. That's right. Cool guy.
I heard he's a really nice guy.
Cool guy. Sergeant Major was a cool guy. Yeah. The Commandant was like, he's just a grumpy old man. Everyone knew it. But the Commandant was like, oh, the Commandant. But I remember I gave him a challenge coin. And I always say that he owes me a challenge coin because he never gave me one back. I was like, I told everyone, I was like, I'm going to give this guy a challenge coin. If I'm going to fly with a Commandant, I'm going to challenge coin him. Yeah. And then, because it would have been so sick to get a Commandant coin, dude. You know how sick that would be?
Yeah, would have been.
That would have been sick to get a Commandant. And so like, I was like, this is my opportunity. I will do it. Yeah. And so I coined him. I remember I bought it. Like I was keeping it in my pocket. When he got off the bird, we flew him around. Handed off the bird. He went to go visit troops and stuff, doing their training. It was a big training exercise in Thailand with the Thai military and all over the world, like Australian, British. Like it's called Cobra Gold. It's like a big training exercise.
Yeah.
And then he got off, and then he was like, no. And then that's all he did, and walked away. And I assumed like maybe he would like, you know what I mean, like find me or whatever, and never give it back. And I told everyone, everyone's like, dude, got to do it. Like, everyone was like, you got to challenge coin him. Yeah. You got to see what happens. Maybe you can get a challenge. Nothing happened. So the Commandant, who I can't remember your name anymore, I feel as if you owe me a challenge coin. But, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool if you don't. I'll write you someday in my life, probably.
There you go. You should. When you remember his name.
Yes, when I remember his name. I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't remember. It's just like so.
I don't remember either. I'm trying to.
Dude, you forget. Like, all of these things. You get out of the Marine Corps, you're like, oh, shit. I don't want to think about that. But yeah, dude. And then I went back home. I was more deployed. I mean, I was putting a strain on a relationship. Like this whole backdrop is like me fighting a relationship with, you know what I mean? The girl I love, the girl that's amazing, Chloe. Like she's, you know what I mean? Like the best person ever. And I was just not a good person then. You know what I mean? And it was not because I didn't want to be. I was trying, but it was like. It was like there were so many other factors going on in my life that I could not be the person that she needed me to be at that point. And it's not because like I didn't love her or because I didn't care. It was because I needed to focus on myself to survive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And
somehow we made it 7 years, and like literally even after the Marine Corps, and she's the best person ever. I've made my peace with her, and she's awesome. Like. Yeah. And props to her for making it through that, because she's equally a part of the story as anything. Like Chloe got me through. I would not have been able to get through that without her. Wow. And she was the person that I needed. Way too good for me. Way too good for me. And like at that point, but she stuck through it, and like she has my love. She knows she knows that I love her. I will always love her. She's amazing. You know what I mean? And I just wish her the best. Like, you know what I mean? I literally just want her to be happy.
Yeah, I met her. She's a cool girl.
Yeah. Chloe is awesome, dude. Chloe is awesome. And I'm super stoked to see where her life goes and see like what she's just incredibly smart, incredibly awesome. Like she's the best. And nothing but good words to say about her.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, but that was a whole situation. You know what I mean? It wasn't like going through that, not easy.
Yeah. Of course
not easy, dude. And like drinking a lot too, like that was in Okinawa. That was bad. Like my diet in Okinawa was or when we were on those is like pizza, beer, like flight snacks, which is candy. Like literally, you're just pizza and beer every day because you're just living for the flight schedule, waking up every day, seeing what you're doing, training, doing what you got to do, and working in, day out, like. Best friends in the world. You're working with like your best friends in the world. You don't know it, but like you're working with your best friends, and like you find the people that you connect with, and you find the camaraderie there, and you find the bond there. Like you literally get bonded together. Like that's how it works. And you're with them every day in, day out, every single day. Yeah. And you love them like anybody else. You know what I mean? And so like that's the way it is. Like, you know what I mean? And people, we're all trained to make sure that the military functions, that it runs, that it does its job. And like, say what you want about the military. There's amazing people there. Like, there's absolutely incredible people there. And, you know, regardless of what the organization is, you know what I mean? Like what its purpose is, you know, for war, like that is what that's what the U.S. military function, even if you don't, you know, if you did a job or whatever, like any job you did, like
it's important.
That is a part of the job, is being at war with people to make sure that you can function as a, you know, military in that capacity. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, there are amazing people there, amazing people there that are incredibly talented, incredibly brave and honest, and like literally the best people. Some of the best people in this world are in the military. And it's a community that is, you know, one that I always try to, you know, when I got out, it was like so hard for me to like, I just wanted to distance myself. That was everything. But like, you know, I did 5 years in the Marine Corps, active duty. And so like, you know, I went on another deployment went to 2 deployments to Japan. The second deployment, I was awesome too. I was supposed to get out. It was my last year. And I went there and we did like a training exercise in Hokkaido, Japan. And we like got to fly all over Japan, like literally from the bottom, like Okinawa is like the southern island of Japan, and then all the way up to Hokkaido, which is the northern tip. And like spent like a week going up, a week going down, like doing a training exercise out there. Amazing. Like flying over like Tokyo, flying over Hokkaido, meeting other Japanese, like literally getting patches from like Japanese Aircrew and stuff like that, like that are flying in like old school Hueys and stuff like that. Like the Japanese people were awesome. Like the U.S. military is like obviously like the history behind Okinawa or behind Japan and the U.S. Yeah. But like everyone I met in Japan was cool. Like I loved everybody there.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I mean? I stayed out of the trouble. Maybe there was some trouble. I guarantee. I know there's trouble. Like obviously there's a lot of trouble that goes on there. But when my personal experience going through that, everyone was super nice. Everyone was awesome. I took leave to Tokyo, like with my best friends for like the New Year. We spent New Year's at Shibuya Crossing, like doing cool. Crazy stuff. Yeah. Drinking, partying, Marine Corps birthday, Togo parties, like just a lot of drinking, like, and you know, ended up getting promoted to sergeant out there after being a corporal for 3 years. Oh. Yeah, I mean, and training up, dude. I spent a lot of time working like every day. Like it's funny because like the highlights are like the people and the, you know what I mean? But like there's some sick things that I did, like flying, like just like flying over Japan, flying over all these different places, flying from state to state. And then I did search and rescue operation, which was, you know, it was a massive deal in my life there, where I went on a search and rescue mission for
missing Marine?
Yeah, missing Marine, Captain Matthew Kraft. He was a Marine, I believe he was a Marine that was on his way to deployment, about to deploy, and he wanted to he was like a really experienced hiker, loved the mountains, loved big trips, like big mountain trips. And so he went off to the Sierra Nevada mountains in California to go on a hike and got caught in a blizzard. And so they called the local police in, and they called a crew from our squadron to like go help them. And so super grateful, dude. I just got the call and they were like, "Hey man, we got to do this. Like we get to base." And I always like respect, like I look back on it now and I was like, why did they pick me? Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, there was like a super senior guy and then a more junior guy. Cause you know, you always want the junior guys to get any experience like that. You gotta cause you're not deploying to combat, but you can also do a lot of other things. You know what I mean? Right. And so like being able to take part in that, as they saw me as like somebody that was like good enough to go on that as like a junior guy, or not a junior guy, but like as a, it's like, because it's always relative. Like those guys had like years, those guys had like two enlistments on top of me. You know what I mean? So there's always like how relative the junior is. You know what I mean? Right. And they were still, you know, they're awesome people. And so like, I was still my first enlistment. Like my whole Marine Corps career was one enlistment. So like other people have so many enlistments. So like they could talk about this forever. But like my was one enlistment. And so like they saw me as like first enlistment. Like they saw that in me that they could take me. And so me and three other crew chiefs, 4 pilots. And so we took two birds out there, 2 Hueys, to look for him. I remember we packed up as quick as can. I remember I was about to like head back to my girlfriend's place.
Yeah.
And we were just going to spend the Sunday together before I had to go back to work and like drive back that night. And then I get a call that's like, hey, you need to be here in an hour. So I just sped over there. They called me and then packed as fast as I could, made it to the bird, got it out, got it ready. You know, I was like, it was like, you know, I was experienced at that point in terms of like what to do. I wasn't like, I was like mid career. I was like 2018, 2019. So I was like, you know, for like, I was like a senior corporal at that point. And so, yeah, I went out there and flew. How long was it? Tried to find him, dude. 5 days and nights. Wow. We went out there, landed with the sheriff's department. They were like, hey, this is what's going on, the situation. We need you to go out there and look. And so like we did everything we could to find him. We spent that day bone-chilling cold, literally the coldest I've ever been in my life. And I've flown in many different types of like below freezing conditions, like flown in snow, flown in all that. The Sierra Nevada mountains are insane. Like people joke, they're like, oh, I'm from California, you don't have mountains. Like, you don't understand, like if you go north, there's like you go more north in Southern California, like you will find mountains there. Yeah. And they are big mountains. Yeah. Like those
Sierra Nevadas. Yeah.
The Sierra Nevadas are big mountains, dude. Yeah. And they're sick. Like you look at them, the people film the Himalaya scenes on movies like at the Sierra Nevada mountains because they're big.
Yeah.
And we flew through those, man. Like then look for them.
Yeah. Crazy.
And dude, it's a jungle out there, dude. Like it's a jungle of mountainous terrain out there. And with some awesome pilots and with some awesome crew, we ended up like inserting ski teams and stuff like that. We would just go back to our hotel at night, sleep, wake up, do it. Like search, stop for gas, refuel, food, get back out there again in the night, and then go search more on MVGs on you know, low level conditions. Damn. And in the middle of a blizzard, like middle of snowstorms, trying to navigate a way around clouds, trying to navigate around like we were flying at like, you know, 12,000 feet, which is above where we needed to like there was different like level. There's different, like we had to push boundaries. We had to push boundaries to see where we were. Yeah. It was like it was very interesting flying. And something I'm super grateful to have had the opportunity to go do something real. Like that's what it was for me. And that's why I look back on this experience as one of the most important experiences of my Marine Corps career. Cause it was like, that was like a real thing. Like that wasn't pretend.
That wasn't a drill.
That wasn't a drill. Like I know I'm going out and flying and doing all these flying exercises. And you know, it's a lot of repetition, which makes you very good at those things because that's what you need to know. But this was real. And this was like, but that's the thing though, is with, like aviation training is that it's always real because there's always a risk. Like there's always a very high risk. Yeah. The situations, like the situations they put you in, you know, like they're not actual conditions. Yeah. But it is still like the level of flying needs to be the same. Like the level of flying needs to be the same as like the actual conditions because that's what it's going to be like when you actually get in those conditions. Right. And that's how you're able to operate. Like that's why pilots and aircrew are so crucial. You need to be good to be able to like have a good crew, to be able to be safe. And there's a lot of close calls that happen. You need to be able to treat every situation as a real situation because it is real. And you know, the ones who get that the quickest, they understand the most. But that comes with experience and like doing real things because you don't know what it's like to do real things when you're just practicing all the time.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so like it was like we weren't getting deployed, and that's the thing that's always held over us. Like when are we going to go on a real combat deployment? We fight in combat. Like that's, you know, there's a lot of MOSs in the military that you don't go into combat as. Everyone's has the like obviously like if you're getting stationed in a war zone, but like direct combat. Yeah. Scrunts and guys on the ground, like special forces guys, and you know all of those people that are like kicking in doors and like no shit, like doing it. And so like that was a whole world that I don't have access to, but like we were the guys in the sky, and like that was always that was always like we took it with us. Like we want to do something real. We want to do something real. We want to be on a deployment. We want to, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that was always in the back of our mind of like, we're going to keep going to Japan. We keep going to Okinawa. Like it's the same thing. Like we're doing all these training exercises. There's a lot of great stuff that happens in between those, but we want to go do something real. Yeah. And we weren't fighting anybody, thank God, like at that point, you know what I mean? And so, so I, doing that, we never end up finding the guy. I wrote a whole essay on it for like my college Harvard applications, or like other schools I'm applying to. And so like, you know, like that is something that was super important to me. And I didn't know like how to process it until like later on, until I got out and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, did that. Then I did like, national security exercises with like when Trump was in office, we had to like guard the border because like, there was like and so like I was very controversial, and even to me, I was like, even at the time, I was like, yeah, I don't know what, I don't think this is, and you know what I mean. And it's like, luckily, I don't know. Nothing insane happened from that. Yeah, like it's not like an insane like, but like could have been. I don't know. Like who knows? And you know what I mean. It's like who knows what people or positions are in power that want to do certain crazy things. And so like that was something to reflect on at least. Like I don't have all my opinions formulated about all these issues yet or ever, but like it's you know it's important for me to just reflect on those issues continually and like see what I think about being a part of that sort of thing. So yeah, those were like the couple, like, you know, I did real things, and then for me, it was like considered real things, you know what I mean?
But that's a real thing. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Rescue is a real thing.
Yeah. And so, and those are very real things. And the only, you know, just everyone wanted to be in combat. Like, and it's not like I wanted to kill people. I didn't. I remember having conversations where like, I don't want to kill anybody. But if that's what it comes down to, we'll see how I operate within that. Like I will, in the moment. I'm sure I'm confident in my ability to perform, but I, you know, I've never been in combat. I don't know what that's like. You know what I mean? And other people have. And there's people that, you know, amazing people. Bart Davis, like literally the most senior crew chief, one of the most senior crew chiefs ever, like in existence, like a war hero, dude. One of the best people I've ever met. Also in my life. And you know, he is, I don't know, for whatever reason, like he liked me. Everyone kind of like saw that, like he like helped me out a lot. And he had, you know, like, I forgot how many. He's like 6 or 7 like tours to Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, you know what I mean? This guy was salty, and he was a gunny when he showed up. When I met him, he's a master sergeant now in Okinawa. Awesome family. Like been over to his house, met his family, met his kids multiple times. Like amazing guy, and super like amazing guy. Always he knew the value of like community in the military. Like that's a guy who knows that's how he gets through. That's how he copes, because he brings people together. And cool. And we've always trying to find a hunting trip with him, and I will. Well, our group, you know, like he always would say too, like when we were in Okinawa, he's like, I've been on many deployments. He's like, I've been to combat. I've seen combat. I've been there multiple times, many times. He's like, I've seen the blood. I've seen the gore. I've done it. And he was like, this, like, you guys are special. Like, yeah, we're just going to Okinawa. Like, yeah, we're just like, you know, we're doing this, but like, this is no less a deployment than any other deployment. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's like, you know, he told us how much he like cared about us. Wow. And yeah, I mean, awesome guy. Literally one of the best people I ever met. Wow. And you know, like he took care of us. Especially took care of the aircrew guys, because everyone knew the aircrew guys were Gunny's favorite, because that was him. You know what I mean? He was an aircrew guy. And all the pilots, like senior or not, you respected this man. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like the you know, the COs, the people in charge, he has pools to string. He knows people everywhere. And he, you know what I mean? He was one of those guys who, like, you know what I mean? He had the recognition. He had the Distinguished Flying Cross. In naval aviation, that is like a very prestigious award. You know what I mean? Like, wow. And I remember he told me, like, he would always repeat the story of how he got it. And it's insane. Like, I can't do it justice, and I won't. One day I will get him on this podcast and have him recount the stories that he has. They are insane. They are literally insane. But, you know, it's like, that's what everyone wanted to do, was like, I want to go on that. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I want to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's like,
that's what you're trained to do.
Thank God. Like, I look back on it now, because when I exited, I was like, I didn't do it. Like, I didn't get to deploy, you know what I mean? And that was always like a thing. And that's always what I've taken care of. That's what I've always carried with me exiting the military. Was like, I never went to combat. Not that I didn't deploy. I never went to combat. And those are like different things. And, you know, that was, you know, that's what it was like for me. That's what it was like for everybody. You'd see people with their combat aircrew wings, you know, with they're like silver and they look sweet. And you're like, everyone wants them because they're combat aircrew wings. Yeah. And I just, you know, just the slick wing guy.
It's not bad though.
But it's sick. I'm proud. I'm proud. I earned the wings, you know what I mean? And
you can't undermine that.
no, you can't undermine that. So, and I was a crew chief. I served. I did real things. You know what I mean? And so like, and just because it wasn't combat, it doesn't make it any less real. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so yeah. So but yeah. I mean, it was always that thing I took with me out of the military. I was always very much like I wanted to deploy. To combat. You know what I mean? I wanted to go to combat. But I'm so grateful now that I didn't. Like now I realize you don't want to go to combat.
Right.
Like
it'll mess you up.
That will mess you up. Like you know, I think that's why it's important to like talk to veterans about these things. Like people that have seen combat, seen people that haven't, because it's like there's a story there for everyone. But like the people that have gone there and come back and realize and have somehow by some miracle like processed it to places where they can be stable. You know what I mean? Like because not everyone can do that. No. But like the people that can process it to become stable again and like figure out what they need to do and like find that path. They have some very, very, very interesting stories, and they are not light. They are not light. Like those are insane. You know what I mean? And so
people have some crazy ass stories.
People have crazy stories about how they survive combat and like those things
they went through.
Yeah, what they went through, and like
it's insane.
It's absolutely insane. But you know what I mean? And like you know, the military gets there's a lot of ways to like find psychological distresses after the military. It's not all combat. Like there are very much processes within the military that mess you up and you don't even realize it. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like, that was what I was doing. I was training and I flew guns and I shot them out of helicopters. And I, learned, every day I was just learning, 5 years of learning, just 5 years of straight learning, studying, flying, working on aircraft every day.
Sums it up.
Yeah. And, I got called up, to where I needed to be, became a sergeant. That Bart Davis, he looked after me. He got me. I had a guy who was like really holding me back. One of those guys you're like, this is not, I wish him the best now. I wish him the best in life, but he did not like me, and he knew, and he showed it. Like, and he was much more senior to me, had, been to combat, and, it was not, he
didn't like you.
He did not like me. And I'm not going to name names or anything, but like, I wish him the best in life. I really do. I hope, I don't know what I know he's still in the Marine Corps. But it was just one of those situations. And luckily, thank God I had Bart Davis on the side, because I ranked him tenfold. So,
nice.
And so like he helped me get promoted.
That's cool.
And so, so like I got promoted to sergeant within the last year I got out.
Nice.
In Japan. Yeah. Got promoted to sergeant. And then, like I was like, cause I was a corporal most of I feel like when I view my military, like the grind of the military, I was like, I was a corporal. You know what I mean? And then I got out as sergeant, which was like, I can say that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy that I never like lived the sergeant. I was like, I'm getting out. I'm not going to sergeant school. I'm not doing all that stuff. That's not me. I'm getting out. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I was like, when I was a sergeant, I was like, oh, bigger responsibility now. Like I'm a sergeant now. You know what I mean? So
you went to sergeant school?
No, I didn't. I didn't end up going. Okay. I got out actually because it was COVID. And so, my deployment ended up getting extended. There were talks about me extending my contract, and after 5 years, dude, I was so checked out, dude. Like I was like, I am out. I am leaving. I'm actually going back. I got sent there early to come back early as part of like the people that set up when you go there early and you like set up for your main squadron to come over, like the mass group of people, you just go there early and come back early. Yeah. And I signed up for that. I was like getting there early. I was like, I am leaving after 5 years in the Marine Corps every day. I am out of here. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, I mean, because every day was a grind, dude. Yeah, dude. Every day was a grind. And I was done with it. Every day, every single day, like countless hours, like flying and talking about like guns, arming up weapons. Yeah. Like being with like the best people alive, but also being with the worst people alive. Yeah.
The worst times.
But like,
times.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was that every day. And that guy I mentioned that was, I said that that had it out for me. Like great great crew chief.
Yeah.
Not that great a mechanic, but one of the best, and everyone knew he was good.
Yeah.
And like you couldn't get on him for that because he was good. And he was a very good instructor. Yeah. I will say that. He had it out for me.
Yeah.
Way too much. It'll cut. It's fine. Though this is still recording. It's just the battery died. It'll just be a black screen after.
Okay.
But like that guy, he had it out for me. But when I was trained by him, he was professional. Like it was flying. Like he knew he got it. Like this is serious now. We need to train. Like we can't. There's nothing like when we're flying. That's it. Like. This is real now, so like we're good. We're you know what I mean, you respect that. But then I came back and he did not like me. But yeah, so like, you know, doing that since like just guns, dude, flying. Like every day, that's what it was, man. Every day. And that's like what grunts relate to is guns and hiking and fielding and
in the field.
Look, like being in the field. That's what it is. Like that's what it is for me. That's what it was, dude. Fixing aircraft, flying them, putting in engines, putting in rotors, putting in all these things, like inspecting aircraft. Like I had to be qualified in all the mechanical stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is just me constantly just recounting, like, there's so much there, but like all the mechanical side of the birds, like I was inspecting aircraft every day. I was like a 19-year-old kid that was like safing them for flight. Like, yeah, this is good. Like, it's actually good. Like, I've been trained on this and I'm confident in my ability to be like, this is worthy of a flight. You know what I mean?
Insane.
With live people in it. You know what I mean? This is the last check you need. And then the pilot will sign for it. They do a quick pre-flight.
Yeah.
Make sure all the main things are good.
Yeah.
And then, but like, there's a million other mechanical things that can go wrong. Like, you know what I mean? You have to have good mechanics, and, you know what I mean? Like, I was doing that a lot. I was never the best. Like, the mechanics, like, really, those guys are amazing. Like, if you never like the entire squadron was great, but like, I look back on it now and it's like, we hated our lives and everyone thought everybody thought everyone was bad and like all these things. But like, you look back on it and you're like, everyone was doing their best. Everyone was doing their best. You know what I mean? And there were some really, really great people there. There's amazing people that work there and put their, you know, it's hard to maintain that. It's hard to maintain that always at all times, but a good squadron, I'm happy because like I was at a good squadron and, you know, there was definitely times where we weren't good and we showed it, but we, you know, at the end of the day, we made it work and we did it and we got it done. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's one of the best advices I ever got told when I was in flight training was he was a sergeant at the time, Sergeant Garcia, and he came to talk to our class. He was like the guy in charge of our class, and he was like, one thing I want you to know, like as crew chiefs, is like you just get the job done. Like there's no option. You don't have an option. The flight's going in is because you're making it work. Like, you know what I mean? And so like that's what I've always taken with me throughout my life. And like, that's one of the single most important lessons I have learned in the Marine Corps was that guy telling me that. He was like, you just get it done. Like, and I was like, okay, like, yes, Sergeant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it done. And that's what you do every day. And did that, man. It was cool. And there was so many, I was so grateful, dude. Every day I got to fly around Southern California. Yeah. Every day I got to spend time at the beach, dude. Like that's what was so cool about it, dude. This is why people love aviation. This is why people that, you know, fly or pilots, regardless of what, they love it because it's so sick, dude. Like I got very lucky. I hated my life, dude. My relationship was hard and it was because of me, because I was dealing with all these other things. But like my life was just work and it was just the Marine Corps. It was just flying. It was just studying. It was just these things. It was just drinking, you know, to cope. And it was all of that. It was just so centered. That was all it was. And so, you know, but I was grateful because I knew I wanted, this is what I chose to do with my life. I knew I wasn't going to kill myself and I knew I would get through, and, which is not easy to do, but like I was going to get through and I was going to do my service honorably, and I did it to the best of my ability. And I in terms of like what I did specifically inside the Marine Corps, like I know I performed as well as I could, and, you know, and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my service there. And so, yeah, dude, yeah, I mean, I got to, I mean, at the end of the day though, like I said, I was also grateful that I was flying, dude. It was so fun. It was so much fun to like fly and around, California, dude. Like that was my home base, flying around, flying everywhere, up and down the coast, into other states, like flying into Vegas, flying into Tucson, flying into like other areas every day, dude, every day. And it was so sick, dude. Like I couldn't have asked for like it was always something I've been proud to like tell people that I'm like, not that any job is less important. That's not, but it was just a cool job. You know what I mean? Like I think it was like unique. And I think that's what I like most about the job I did.
Unique job.
It was a unique job. Like it was a close knit community of crew chiefs. You know what I mean? And like, there's a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but like there's a close knit community. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
I was always friends with like the other 53 guys and the other crew chief guys, and like, you know what I mean? Like those guys, like, you know, we had our rivalries for sure, but like we took care of our own, and like it's just a unique job. Not a lot of people get to say they did what I did, you know what I mean? And got to experience the things I got to experience because I was, you know, in the sky. You know, pilots relate to that. Aircrew relates to that. That's the community I come from, you know, like pilots and aircrew, and it's cool. Like it's always something like I feel like I feel bad about it in a lot of ways because like, you know, I was always like, I was never a senior, like I was never like a super senior like guy, you know what I mean? In terms of like the full broad scope of like people that have been in for many enlistments and stuff like that. You know, I was the first enlistment guy, did my job, did my time, and got out. But you know, that's the community I come from, and it's like always a community where I felt like bad towards, because I was like, not bad towards, like I meant like I felt like a little bit insecure about, I should say, because I was like, I was never like the senior guy there, like, you know what I mean? Like I was always like kind of a first enlistment guy, then got out. But I always felt that, you know, I've always been proud that like I partook in that, you know what I mean? Like I did it. I flew, like that's my people. Like those are, you know what I mean? It's like cool people, community. It's a cool community. I'm sure you feel that with what you did and like what other people feel with other people. Like that was my community. My community was the people who fly, like pilots, aircrew in the sky. You know what I mean? Like I love, and I've always have an affinity. Like I always just looking up at planes and always looking at helicopters and be like, well, what type of bird is that? I don't know enough about helicopters. Like I know more than the average person, obviously, but like I'm not like a helicopter buff. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like I was like, oh, it's interesting to see all these different planes. And like always been interested in like aviation after that, because you know it's like such a beautiful thing, dude. Like flying in the air is just it's just cool, man. It's fun, and it's fun when you're fast roping people onto buildings and like shooting guns out of helicopters and like, you know what I mean? Like on MVGs at night, like literally worked with Navy SEALs, like flying around them, doing different debts and stuff like that. That's and sick. Like doing all these crazy things that like fast mover like crazy guys do. In the back of our bird, like transporting people, working with like PJs and like all these things, dude. Like
you did a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, dude. Like super fun stuff, man. And I, it's like so high intensity, man. Like that's the thing I don't give enough credit towards. It's like I knew when I got out of the military, I was like, any other job is going to be so easy. Like any other job is, and I've always taken that to like, it's like, and they're very different skilled jobs, but like in terms of like the work ethic, every job is easy. Like it's like show up to work, you do it right. And then you like, that's what you got to do. You clap your hands at the end of the day, job well done. You did it to the best of your ability. And, that's it. That's what you got to do. There's no other option. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't show up to work any other way. And that's why, you know, like,
it's kind of like laid that for you for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And I know it's done the same thing for you.
100%.
Exactly. You know, and that's why that's why military people are, you know, like that's why veterans are so, you know, it's like there is a big push for veteran, like, you know, welfare and like more veteran organizations to help veterans come out and transition, because it's not that military people like the people in the military are very skilled and will help you. Like, you know what I mean? Tremendously. But it's that they're so messed up because of the military that they can't like function. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that they're not hard workers, not that they don't, you know what I mean? It's like they are just there are some serious things you deal with in the military that they can't function out of. Right. And now you're like, if you miss that whole population, like there's amazing people in there. There are people that will die for you. You know what I mean? And so like,
very true.
You know what I mean? And so like finding that, so like, I'm proud to have been a part of that. Proud to have served, and flown and did some cool stuff. Like, it was just it was fun, dude. Like, but it was also very serious because, there's a couple times where I thought we were going to go to war, but we didn't. And deployment was always like a combat was always looming over our heads, but never happened. And, did other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's
wow,
like,
man.
There's no way to put 5 years in one conversation, but like,
right.
That was the military, man. And it was not easy for me as an active duty guy in the fleet, doing that. And so
but you did it, man. Like, looking back, yeah, you're right. You can't fit everything in the conversation. We can wrap it up in 5 years, but
no,
I thank you for starting at the very beginning.
Yeah, dude. I feel like I just was rambling, bro. Do you have anything else?
I think you told your story very well.
Oh, thank you, man.
I kicked it off, and you kind of just took it, and that's perfect. You just kind of went at it. So, no, it was great, man. It was honestly really good.
No, you asked great questions, dude. Seriously, I'm stoked to be here with you, Rob. Like, just being here in your roommate, like, just talking to you every day. This is a blessing, man. It's really a blessing.
Man.
It's really awesome just to get to hang out with you, because, dude, it's hard every time I connect with another veteran. I think, like, it's like, wow, this is so needed. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, wow, this is like, I needed this way before now. Like, I needed to talk to people about this yesterday. So, like, living with you is, like, really nice to be able to get out that stuff.
It's good,
that
man.
I just don't, just don't talk about it. Not is it at this point? I found peace with what I've done. Yeah. I found peace with a lot of that. And there's so many stories to dive into that I could dive into, that lessons learned and things I've done, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But getting out, like, it's important to, like, have conversation about what you did with other veterans. And that's what, you do with your nonprofit, Recycle for Veterans. Mm-hmm. But, just getting the word out there. I think that's what's important. And so, there's going to be a day where I'm going to interview you about all your stuff you did. So we'll do that for the next podcast. But no, dude, I'm just grateful that you wanted to, like, you are interested in what I had to say.
Man. Not just me. I'm sure many other people who are listening will listen as well, because it is a unique perspective and unique experience, like you said, especially one that I've always kind of, like, envied over, like, my experience was much different. So, hearing yours is really cool. Like, that I'm so glad that the Marine Corps laid that foundation for you, because I totally see the power and, like, the outcomes it has, for people who, are in there.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, everyone served in their own way. It doesn't make anyone more or less important. Like, you did what you had to do, and, like, whatever happened. And that's cool. And, no, man, like, I just had my path and you had yours. And, like, everybody in the military makes it run. Like, there is nobody who's, like, whose job is unimportant. You do everything, you know what I mean? And
everything. So, like, ordinance, legal,
everything, dude. Everything.
Aviation.
That's why there's so
many communications.
Dude, it's a whole world, man. Like, you can do anything you want. Society, and it's like, it is a society. I mean, there's things I'm sure I don't even know that it's like, oh, you do that? That's interesting. Right. Like, there's a lot of contracting stuff too, but, like,
there's weathermen too in the Marines.
Yeah. There's, like, so many things. It's not all. I mean, this is like I think this is, like, good idea to, like, just to say, because for, like, people who just haven't had any idea what the military was like, people in other countries, and, we don't want to get so, like, specific to the U.S. This was my experience of, like, the U.S. Marine Corps. Yeah. This is what I went through. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a cool time. I got out, and, like, I need to, like, preface all of this with, like, the military was not easy to get through, like, to process afterwards. Like, it breaks you, and it broke me, and I was depressed, and looking back on it, I mean, even in going through it and doing everything I had to do to come out of that, like, to come out healthier on the other side, is the hardest work I've ever had to do in my life. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, you have to put in that work, or else you will not function. And I'm proud of myself for being able to, like, do that work, to, like, come out the other side okay, and not end up homeless or end up on the street or whatever. Like, I know other people that I served with who have died on the street, couldn't process, couldn't do what they wanted, couldn't do what they, what it had to take to continue making it. And so, like, every path is hard, and every path is equally as valid, regardless of what your military experience is. Everyone has their personal experience, you know what I mean? it's all personal. No one story is going to be the same. There's stuff people can relate to, of course, but like no one story is the same. This was just mine. Like, and I speak positively of it now, not because it was a positive experience at the time. It was not. It was very hard. It was very difficult. We had many toxic traits and ways of coping and ways of dealing with things that were not healthy. It was a ton of pain and suffering that went on, psychologically and relationally, and with things that people the situations are put in the military that you have to make decisions on that are not good, not fun, and not that people that are, it's already hard enough to be a 20 something, like a 21-year-old in life, and now you're put in the military. Like, you're just trying to like think and function and like become who you are, and you don't have that yet until you get out, and you're just hoping to get out so you can find yourself again. But you're finding yourself again is like understanding that, and that's a whole world. You know what I mean? That's a whole process. That's a lifelong process, like understanding what happened there. And that's how you can, you do what you do. You do the things like to help veterans. That's the only thing I can think of doing now is like, just want to help people. I want to help my community. You know what I mean? I want to help others get through what they got through. And and it's like, that's the community I came from, and that's the community you come from. And you always have that together. You always look back and you're like, you know how bad it was. You know how hard it is to get through that. You know what you had to do. You know all the things. You know everything. You know what I mean? And you choose to uplift those other people that are struggling, that are dealing with things. And your healing is not a linear process. Like, there's a lot you can go through. And the best thing I have ever found, which I didn't want to admit for years after getting out, was like, best thing to do is talk to other veterans, talk to other people that have gone through that, get your experience out there. There's things you've repressed. There's things you don't want to face because of what happened, and know that, but like sometimes you don't even know that, you know what I mean? So like,
until you talk about it,
that
someone else talks about it, you're like, oh, that resonates.
For sure. And it's like coming to that, understanding that more. It's like I told you yesterday, there was a quote, like, if you turn to face your deepest fears, you may never have to meet them. You know what I mean? And so like, you have to deal with those, whatever it is, you know what I mean? I don't want to refer to it as demons, because that's always like scary and all these big things, but like, you gotta face those, that whatever that is in your consciousness, face that. And it's like, for me, I'm learning about it every day. And patience. Don't try to fix it all at once. That's what I did do. That's how it got me through, because I needed to fix everything at once. And I was always focused on, and I like grew so quickly in such a short amount of time. Within the last 2 years I got out, from 2 years after I got out, but now I'm like, okay, patience, Evan, patience. This is a lifelong thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to find, you're not going to have it all figured out today. You never will, but you're going to die not knowing everything, not having figured out everything, but you're going to do your best trying. You're going to be patient with yourself. I know what I'm capable of. I know my work ethic. I know what I do. And I know what life I want to leave, and I know that life is precious and short, and I'm not going to waste it doing something that I don't care about and that I don't find important. You know what I mean? And it's like, there are many things that are important. They're just not the things that I find important right now. You know what I mean? And that's what I have to like navigate. That's how I'm finding my purpose. You know what I mean? There are a million things to focus on that are equally valid as what I want to work on. But for me, this is like, I need to take the time. I need to focus on my mental health. I need to be the person I need to be in order to get to the levels that I know I can get to. Bringing people up with me, trying every day, just more love. Like, that's what I'm every day. It's fail at all the time, but like, I'm trying more love, more love. Subconsciously, just keep saying it. Like, that's where I want to do. That's what I want to try to be, is like, just be here, somebody on this earth, just to love other people. And you know what I mean? And like, how do I show that? How do I use my skills and my abilities and what I've learned both inside and outside the military? You know what I mean? Working a lot of different jobs, trying to find my purpose, trying to find my way. What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I like? What do I don't like? What kind of a living situation? Like, how do I want to live? All these things, all this experience in my life. And like, now I'm like at a point where I'm like, okay, Evan, be patient. You know who you are. You know that you're capable of a lot, but you need to be patient, and you need to find the right spot for you. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing it. You're like, now is not, you're not going to mess around this time. You're going to find something that you really want to do. You know what I mean? It's a process that takes time, and I'm doing that. I'm seeing, I'm just making this because it's awesome. I love having conversations, an excuse to have more conversations like this. And so you know what I mean? It's just a good way to bring connection, bring love to other people and share it. You know what I mean?
Share stories and then have it, someone who listens to this could totally resonate with you and your stories, and that's the whole point,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, for sure. Who knows where it's going to go? I'm not putting so much pressure on it. You know what I mean? Anymore. Like, I do it. I'm going to do it consistently. I'm going to do it because it's fun, and I know to do it because I love to do it. But I'm not going to do it for any other reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm going to do it because this is what I want to do, and I'm going to focus on the things that I want. I know that I can really put my effort towards in a more meaningful way. You know what I mean? Phones. They don't exist on podcast sets. I'm just kidding. But yeah, man. I mean, this has been great. Thanks for hosting this too, dude.
Of course, man. Thank you for allowing me to host this.
No, of course. Dude.
I appreciate you saying your experience. Like, I know you have a lot more to share, but from what you share, I totally followed along and it took me to that. So it's really good. And thank you, man. Thank you for your service too.
Hey, thank you for yours, man. It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna hang up the phone right here, but we live together, so we're gonna hang up the not the phone. We're gonna hang up the phone. The podcast.
Yes, thank you guys for listening.
By now the camera's cut off, so I apologize about that. But thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Tune in next time.
Peace.